get this afternoon's meeting started. At this time, I'd like to call to order. Roll call, please. Felicia?
Roll call. Ryan Binion.
Present.
Dr. Barbara Brothers.
Present.
Dr. John Richard.
As a note of correction there, Dr. Richards has stepped off of the commission due to conflict with the position he's holding.
Jennifer Roller.
Present.
Vincent Shivers.
Present. Thank you. At this time on the agenda, we have approval of the April 20th, 2017 agenda as presented. There was an addition to the agenda that was executed this morning, adding an additional public comment period. Any comments, corrections on the agenda? Get a motion to accept the agenda? Accepted. Thank you, Ms. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Felicia, can you call on that vote for that motion?
Ryan Binion.
Present, yes.
Dr. Barbara Brothers.
Yes.
Jennifer Roller.
Yes.
Vincent Shivers.
Thank you. Motion carried. This time we have approval of the December 5th, 2016 minutes. Those minutes were provided to the members of the commission in advance of the meeting. Were there any corrections to those minutes? Can I get a motion to accept
I
them?
make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second?
I second.
Thank you.
Ryan Binion.
Yes.
Dr. Barbara Brothers.
Yes.
Jennifer Roller.
Yes.
Vincent Shivers.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, at this time, we're going to move into the meat of the meeting. Presentation from CEO Mohip and his senior staff on progress made to date within the district.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the ADC for calling this meeting and giving us the opportunity to present the work that we've been doing. I'm very excited to have this meeting and to be able to show what we've been able to do from June 29th when I first started here in the district until this point. I think you'll find through this presentation that we have set out with some aggressive goals, that we are plotting a path towards achieving all of them. We are not at the end of this first year, so you will find that in this presentation we will call out the things that we're challenged with and our next steps before the beginning of the school year next year. I do want to just call out a few things, and it'll be really nice because for the first time I'm not really going to lead this presentation. I got a team here that I've invested in, that we've built capacity towards, and they're really the ones that are carrying out the work. We've worked as an academic distress commission. You guys given me the authority to go out into the community and to create a strategic plan for this district. We've listened broadly and deeply. We know that the course that we're walking right now is the direction that the city and the school district wants us to move in. And so we're excited that we have a group of talented individuals supporting the success that we've already found to date and the future success that we'll find in the years to come. Some things that I just want to highlight, and I'm not going to spend much time on them because through the presentation, other parts of the leadership team will talk about these things. But we, as part of our highlights, is our parental involvement. As I came into the district, I heard and witnessed that we had difficulty working, collaborating, and getting our parents to partner with us. We have taken some tremendous strides in that, and you've seen as recently as the community update meetings where we are now turning out anywhere from 50 to 200 parents to come and give us feedback and listen to us. I'm really proud of the development of the senior leadership team that we have here and the middle management team that we have here in this district. We have brought on some people that are by far the best in the area, and we have built a capacity within our own sustainable people that are here so that they can carry upon the message and the mission of the strategic plan. We are getting very well suited to make decisions that are grounded in data, and that is something that's new for this district. We've updated our student code of conduct. We're providing instructional feedback to every single teacher on a weekly basis, and we're doing that at a very high percentage. We have a comprehensive assessment system, and the reason I've called out the comprehensive assessment system because what we're able to do with that assessment system is find the challenges that we have for our children and put interventions in place. When I started here, we did not know what the foundational gaps were in our students' education. I could not determine if our teachers were providing the year's worth of growth. We now have an assessment system that we're able to do that. Moving forward, we'll be able to create personalized learning plans and set yearly targets for each child to make sure that they are reaching their potential every single year. We had a great success with our preschool expansion. We expanded over 30% of our enrollment, and we added 761 hours to their instructional year within this year alone. Our after-school program, we saw an increase from 300 students to nearly 1,500 students, where students were getting a snack, dinner, and 2.5 hours of instruction and tutoring. We rolled out a mandatory summer school program that goes in addition to our enrichment program. All students in the mandatory summer school program will still have the opportunity to be part of the enrichment. We have a new program called Pride. You'll see it in Goal 3 we'll talk about, but this is where we are developing parents as leaders within our district to go and support other parents. We have over 100 members in the Pride community, and we have spent significant time building their capacity. And then the last thing I want to highlight is our transportation department. You'll see today through this presentation that we still have many steps to go to get to a place where we're providing high quality transportation above anyone else in the area, but we are well on our way. We have made sure that we are safe, that our buses are certified, that our drivers have their necessary certificates and using the proper safety as they pick up our children and deliver them home each day, and I'm very proud of that work. We have had some challenges, and so some of the challenges that we had that I do want to call out on that has slowed some of our growth or has maybe made it a little bit more difficult to get where we are today. And the first thing that I wanted to remind us of was the timing. To no fault of anyone in particular, but I was not able to be put into this position until June, and I wasn't able to get here physically until the end of June. That made it very difficult. I didn't have the opportunity to see the schools in action. I did not get to see how leaderships function, and so we did need to take a little bit more time than if I had been here in June. It did slow us down in some areas, but I think we've made some steps to ensure that doesn't happen for the future.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Can you bring a chair up here? Oh, thank you.
We've had some challenges as well, along with our advisory school board. We've had some, we continue to work collaboratively. There have been some growing pains, but we're continuing to work through those. Overall, change is hard. And what we're proposing here in Youngstown is a shift from what we've done in the past. And so we have to continue and understand that most times with change, about 20% of people will be on board in the beginning, and we're slowly making that shift from 20 as we escalate towards a higher percentage of people that catch on to the vision to buy into what we're doing. We are combating that by being extremely open, going out into the community and letting people know what our direction is, and also allowing them to give some voice to that direction as well. This year alone, we've had 76 community meetings where we've been able to go out and share our vision and our mission and pull back information from the community as we move forward. We've had some issues with just district practice, things that we've done in the past. Sometimes we do things because it's the way it's always been done. We have to challenge that sometimes, and that does slow growth at some points. We had to reorganize the entire district. As you see, I gave you the new organizational chart. We are looking at this as something that will be shifting over the years to come. What you see in front of you right now is an organizational chart that really reflects a school district in triage. This is what we need to do to really stop some of the ill effects of past practices. As we move forward, as we become more successful, as we start transitioning out of House Bill 70, that's when you see the organizational chart change. And then when we officially leave HB 70 governance, you'll see our organizational chart measure and marry something that's much similar to districts around here. Although I put this on a highlight, something that I believe is also still a challenge is the parental involvement. So as we've made strides, we still aren't where we need to be with our parents. We're going to continue to reach out to them. We're going to continue to invite them in to be parents. And as you saw from yesterday's reconfiguration, we're designing a school district that allows parents to be closer to their children and be closer to their schools, so it's easier for them to communicate with us and for us to communicate with them. And then overall, and as in any job, there are constant distractions that sometimes get in the way. but we are committed to the strategic plan, and we have a laser focus on teaching and learning, and that is what's going to carry us forward in the years to come. As we have these challenges, it's important that we move beyond them. And so moving beyond our challenges, there's some key things that I wanted to highlight, and that is first and foremost perseverance. I am building a leadership team. We have a strong team amongst us that do persevere through anything. And that is trickled down to our principals, to our building leaderships, to our teachers, to our families, to our communities. We are going to persevere. We're going to continue this growth. We are not going to get distracted away from the goals of the strategic plan, because we know that the strategic plan is what moves this district forward. We're going to continue to focus on kids. As I said, from the day I signed my contract on June 7th, I'm student-centered, and that at times makes adults uncomfortable. We're okay with that discomfort as long as what we're doing is in the best interest of children, and we're showing results where they are becoming better attuned to the standards and mastering them at a higher level. Our strong central leadership and our building leadership teams is what is helping us move through this. And the last group I want to highlight are the teachers. They have responded well to the challenges. Right now we're doing professional development for all teachers around our standards. We're breaking those standards down. They're in professional development right now above us. And as we go into those rooms, you see teachers become more excited about their job. So we said from day one, we're not here to fire our teachers, we're here to fire them up. And so that's what we're doing. We're breathing new life into them, and we're showing them a better way to teach. So I'm excited about the future, and I know that at the end of the day, it is the teachers that are going to move this district forward. Not one single administrator here has the effect that a teacher does have on a child, and that teacher sees that child 173 times per year. At this point, I want to bring up Greg Slemons to go over the budget and give you guys a budget update.
Thank you, Mr. Mohit. Again, my name is Greg Slemons, Chief Financial Officer of the district. I think one of the newest individuals on the team coming in mid-February, and I have the opportunity today to give you kind of an overview of the budget process, what I've been able to put together with the help of Treasurer Sherry Tyson, and to see where we're at. Because basically what Mr. Mohit was saying, we want to make sure that the teachers, administrators, all the employees are able to do what they can do, but within a fiscally responsible manner. So part of Goal 5, Item D is operating. Am I going the wrong way? We want to just flip through these. So the budget update, basically the Goal 5 under D is operate under fiscal responsibility and sound management. And the two main strategies is basically to align the district budget and school budgets, all purchases to the goals, objectives, and strategies of the strategic plan, to make sure that we're able to implement the strategic plan and identify where the dollars are going. And also the second goal is to create a 5-year general fund financial forecast that indicates all known revenues, expenditure assumptions made in cases where information is not known, and explanations for trends and changes. So what I've looked at the fiscal responsibility and sound management, some of the challenges, and one of the main challenge right now is that because of myself just coming on in mid-February, trying to identify where the district is. And I've shared with you, and I'll go over it in a little bit, is what I've developed is kind of a spending plan, where we're at the first 9 months of the fiscal year, and where the next 3 months, and where we shake out in the continued budget process. We have implemented some action plans, but again, they're just being rolled out, and so we're in the process of rolling a number of them out. And in any process, when you set priorities, there sometimes is a major challenge because the objectives, the strategies are important, but we have to make sure that we maintain efficient and effective prioritization of those strategies to make sure that we complete that implementation. Some of the things that I noticed when I first came on is we need to create efficiencies in our payroll banking process by addressing internal and external communications between the fiscal office, the treasurer office, payroll personnel, and our banking institutions. We dodged the bullet early or mid-February with, and it ends up being a lack of communication. We are shoring up that communication to make sure that we have sufficient funds, and we do have sufficient funds to cover the payroll. But what's happened is that I noticed that we have two banking institutions. One banking institution that has the majority of our budgetary funds, and then the second banking institution that has our payroll clearing account. Well, what I'm trying to do is to create efficiencies so that we don't run into the risk of any future overdraft, bringing all funds under one financial institution. We're working, Sherry and I are working with the current bank to bring that, and hopefully we'll complete that within the next 10 to 15 days. We're in the process of doing that. Again, that's making sure that we've done that. I think professional development is important for all aspects of the operation, not just teachers, administrators, but also individuals in the central office. And the treasurer, Sherry, was instrumental in signing up the staff, the accounting staff, the accounting specialist, the accountant, to a payroll workshop that was in February that was put on by the Ohio Association of School Business Officials, or LASBO as I call it. And basically what that is, it's beneficial in two ways. They get what's new in the process of payroll, what's happening, FMLA information, but also just sitting down with individuals that are doing the same work that they're doing in other districts and finding out how they're doing, finding best practices, and seeing how it might be able to be utilized within the operation here in the district. So we will continue that both on the accounting side with accounts payable clerks and anything that is beneficial for the individuals, because I think it's beneficial here in the operation. We are rolling out at the end of this week, tomorrow, and next week, what I call a condensed fiscal year 2018 budget process. I've set a strict timeline, and I think it's in your documents there. You can look at it, the strict timeline. And also, it identifies budget managers. I think it's important that principals, their buildings, budget managers have a set budget. They're part of developing that budget. I, as the chief financial officer, Sherry as the treasurer, we have the pot is only so big. We make sure that we identify that here is their pot of, what I call pot of money, and it's based on historical expenditures, but they know better than I as to where they need to appropriate that money within their operation. So we're going to roll out a very condensed timeline to develop the budgets in the general fund. We're meeting with federal programs to make sure we align the individuals and the expenditures on the federal programs to make sure that we're maximizing also the expenditures under the federal programs. Sherry and I had a bullet two. Sherry and I had about a 2-hour go-to-meeting conference call with Public Finance Resources. Public Finance Resources provides a district financial forecast software. They're utilized by about 300 to 400 school districts in the state of Ohio. They're currently in the data population and reconciliation of historical data. The plan is, by law, we have to roll out a May 30th. By May 30th, we have to do a May 5-year forecast update for this year. The plan is, and and Sherry, I think will attest to it, we're on the road that we're going to have a sound financial forecast with assumptions broke down by individual line items as to what the historical data is, what the assumptions are going forward. Did we just lose our computer? So we're in the process. Hopefully by the 1st of May, our next scheduled conference call is going to be the first week of May, just to see where we're at on updating the information. Also, the district has about a $22 million investment portfolio. We currently have it with a company that basically is just holding it. They're holding our securities. And we're contracting with Red Tree. Red Tree is a company out of Southwest Ohio that all they do is invest for governmental agencies, whether it's for school districts, whether it's townships, municipalities. They have over $1 billion under investment. And basically, because we deal with tax dollars, we can only invest in securities that are backed by the federal government, federal securities. So Federal Home Loan Bank, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, those are type. This will be an active budget manager, a portfolio manager that will increase our investment income because it's an active manager of our portfolio and will increase the investment income because we should utilize the $22 million to our benefit to generate additional dollars for the district. The next thing we're doing is we're currently working with the business office and contracting with World Risk Management, a consulting and a risk management advisory company for schools and governments. They're going to conduct an RFP process for our property and casualty. Our property and casualty comes due, policy period is July 27th of this year. So we're in the process of developing an RFP process. We're going to finalize the RFP process with the consultant tomorrow so that at this point, we want to make sure that we're going to receive the best possible coverage for the best possible premium. And this is an outside concern, and I've worked with them in the past and have had very good success with my other school districts that I've been in. The last one is we're also contracting with independent energy consultants. They're currently reviewing our district natural gas and electric accounts and consumption, and their recommendation is that we go back and run what we call an online reverse auction of all of our consumption for all of our accounts for both the consumption of natural gas and electric. There are a number of companies out there that are calling, and just like the Electric Aggregation Act, this takes it out, and we go out and we actually put those individuals in competition with each other in these reverse auctions. So at this point, I have supplied with you a spreadsheet, and what I did is this spreadsheet is set up in the same format as the 5-year forecast. So the line items all the way to the left, when you look at that, those are the same line items that will be consistent when we do the 5-year forecast. What I've done is I filled in 9 months actual, so through March, we're 9 months actual, and then what we're estimating to be April, May, and June. And again, this is the 10,000-foot view. Basically, we're saying is that we're, at this point, through 9 months, we're working within our budget. We're right on budget. At this point, we're going to operate and we'll end the year in the black. That means that our revenues will exceed our expenditures. At this point, talking to Sherry, we're not seeing any surprises that we're having. So at this point, I just wanted to give you a document saying, at this point, we're monitoring both the revenues and expenditures. We'll know hopefully by the end of this month, probably in May. We still haven't received our real estate settlement from the county auditor. We're expecting that hopefully sometime late April, early May to see then how the settlement shakes out for the district. At this point, any questions for me concerning, I know that was very quick. I know we have a number of other speakers that we have after me, but I wanted to make sure that I at least give you an overview of what's happening and what we're doing in our operation.
You touched on the aspect of budgeting and talked about the fact that principals are going to be responsible for not only managing their budget but helping develop it. Talk to me about how you envision budgeting for curriculum and technology to be handled as it relates to that.
Well, basically what's going to happen is both the curriculum and technology then, as part of that process, is meeting with the principals in the district-wide to see what then, so there's going to be a curriculum budget there's a technology budget that's district-wide, but we should be meeting and also be part of meetings with the principals saying, what are the needs? What is part of the strategies that we're rolling out so that the curriculum budget and the technology budget also has input by all of the building principals as to what the need is within their buildings.
Are the building leadership teams involved with that process as well?
Everybody will be involved in the process, absolutely. The bottom line is that communication and bringing more individuals in the mix and the conversation, because we have a strategic plan that we're following, and we want to make sure that it's successful. And the way we can do that is make sure that we're managing the funds properly, and everybody knows what the plan is and where the funds are coming from. And the philosophy is that budgets are to be used within the fiscal year that they're budgeted for. I don't like to see that now we're in April and May that everybody's putting purchase orders through just to spend their money. No, this should be done through the year because it should be used for the classroom and for the students for their educational program throughout the year.
Any questions from the audience?
Budgets, did you ever do any type of solar energy, or I know you're dealing with the energy?
Solar, I've not looked into solar at this point.
Is a copy of the budget available for Texas
I'm sorry?
Is a copy of the budget
It will be once we've developed this. It's in the development process now. Yes. And the 5-year forecast also. There's a 5-year forecast. 5-year forecast is one sheet with numbers, but then there's a 23-page packet that breaks down assumptions by each individual line item as to how the numbers were arrived for those. If there are no other questions, I'm going to introduce Tim Flipovich, the Chief of Accountability and Assessment, to run the next part of the report.
Thank you, Greg. I lost my order. Okay. So let's get on to the reason really why we're here. Because we're going to take you through the strategic plan and specifically talk about all 5 goals. And as you know, in the goals, there are naturally objectives underneath each goal, and then strategies, and then naturally action steps after. So we're going to try to walk you through some of the work that's already been done. We're also going to talk about some of the challenges as have been pointed out, and then also go into those next steps. So that's going to be the format for goal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But before I do that, I'd like to take the time to introduce some critical folks that are doing some work in the district. We have 7 deputy chiefs of transformation that are doing some very important work. They work directly with me and Mr. Mohip in rolling out key initiatives. When we talk about instruction, I want to introduce to you Connie Coburn, who's sitting in the back there. Connie, you raise your hand. And she's assigned to Taft Elementary and Harding Elementary. Stephanie Ryder, who's assigned to Kirkmere and MLK. Amanda McGinnis, who's assigned to Williamson and McGuffey. We also have Greg Kibler, who is assigned to Wilson and Chauvin and does a lot of work with data, working really closely with John LaPlante, our Chief of Information. And many of the things you're going to be hearing about as far as data has to do with the work that Greg is doing right now. So I want you to meet them. We have 3 others that will be helping me with this presentation today, and they'll be introduced at a later time. So before I move on and talk about the goals, I want to bring your attention to the why. And I think this is critical because I'm one of the remaining folks that are still here, because I was here previously for 2 years until Mr. Mohip come on board. And the reason why I think this is an important conversation is because if you look at the why, the STEM has 3 goals underneath it that are critical: 5, 4, and 3. And why that's critical is because they're raising up the 2 most important goals that we have in our plan. And that is academic achievement and providing support to students and families so we can achieve. Now, in the past, I can't always say that all departments and all of our goals were aligned in that way, because some of our decisions were made in silos before. And it was more about keeping a department alive or a goal alive that was sort of held in one area. And that's the difference between, I think, what we're doing now as opposed to what's in the past. We know that all three of those folks, or three of those goals that are associated with other departments who you're going to hear speak today, are going to have a really critical focus, and that's everybody focused on student achievement and with helping students. And that, I think, is refreshing, and I think that's why that logo is very significant as we move forward. When we look at the state report card, and this is something that I think in any type of change in an organization that's critical, is that we are all in this district working for the sake of the students. And I think sometimes we've forgotten that. Sometimes we've been concerned about adult issues rather than student issues. And some of our decision making hasn't always been in the best interest of students. But I can tell you, as Greg has presented and the rest of my colleagues and senior leadership will present, the focus is going to be on students. And our decisions are going to be made based on that, not on necessarily what's best for adults. And I think that's critical as we move forward. So we do have a laser focus, and it is on students, and that's why, we're talking here. What I'd like to do is we're going to walk through the four main objectives for Goal 1. And really, it is the reason why we're here today talking. It's the reason why we have an academic district commission. It's the reason why we have a CEO in our school district. It's all centered around students, academics, and student focus. So before talking any further, I'd like to introduce to you another one of our Deputy Chiefs of Transformation, Kelly Weeks, and she'll be presenting on the first objective.
Good afternoon. Our first objective focuses on ensuring that every single child receives quality instruction every single day. And as we took a closer look, we realized that that may not have been happening in every classroom. So we really decided we wanted to go back to the basics. We wanted to focus our lessons around content standards through purpose statements. And a purpose statement just provides a clear picture for students about what they're learning, why it's important, and how those students will demonstrate their understanding. They answer the question, where is this going? Not only for students, but also for teachers. Once they have that focus, we have to see if the students get it. We have to see if they met that goal. So that's where the exit flips come in. Exit flips are formative assessments that are specifically aligned to the purpose statement. They allow teachers to go back and reflect on their instruction. And they drive that data from the exit flip drives the instruction for the following day. Did the students get it? Can we move on? Or should I stop, reflect, and reteach this in a different way? So we went ahead and we established a tool for monitoring the purpose statements and exit flips called the Observation Tracker. The Observation Tracker is a non-evaluative coaching tool that principals, assistant principals, and the Deputy Chiefs of Transformation use to provide teachers with weekly feedback to help improve instruction. Bite-sized action steps are provided for teachers to reflect on their practice. In addition to the exit flips helping to drive day-to-day instruction, we also have implemented 2 computer-based programs to monitor students' academic growth. We use Dibbles to progress monitor the early literacy skills in grades kindergarten and first grade as a part of our first grade promise. And we use STARS, which is a nationally normed program used to monitor student growth for grades 2 through 12 in reading and math. Lastly, I'd like to talk about our BAG report. BAG stands for Behavior, Attendance, and Grades. The BAG report is provided weekly to all teachers and administrators so that they have current student data at their fingertips. We no longer have to wait until the end of the 9-week period to decide that a student needs help, that they're not on track, that they need some type of intervention. We can make these decisions as we go. We've been especially focused on attendance this year. Each building has an attendance team that uses this data to put specific interventions or incentives in place to help keep our kids coming to school regularly. We need them here to be learning. As you can see, we really are focusing on data to drive our instructional decisions for our students. Next, Rose Shea Huff, another Deputy Chief of Transformation, will be taking Objective B.
Thank you, Kelly. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be talking to you about how we are providing necessary support to ensure that our district employees are feeling just that, support. Currently, as Mr. Mohit previously stated, we have over 275 teachers in the district right now receiving amazing professional development from Discovery Education. Discovery Education is an awesome organization that is known globally. They are providing professional development right now to every single K through 6th grade teacher in the district and our 7 through 12 math and ELA teachers. This opportunity is amazing for teachers. Discovery Education is known for transforming classrooms around the world with their digital content and their professional development. I'm also proud to announce that we have purchased 99.2% of all requested school supplies by teachers to our students, and this is huge. We are providing everything that a teacher asks for in order to ensure that their students are succeeding. We're monitoring that through our 5-week review process. This is something new that we were not doing before. So this is really exciting to see that every 5 weeks we can go in and chart our progress and monitor that we are providing teachers the things that they request to ensure that students have what they need to learn. We are also offering one-to-one instructional coaching through our weekly embedded professional development. This is done at a building level, so this is different than the first professional development I spoke of. This is happening through our literacy and math coaches in our buildings. They're providing support with Carnegie, Bridges, which is our math, those are our 2 math programs that we're doing, and Literacy Collaborative. So we have those individuals in our buildings providing that support. They're also providing professional development, embedded professional development with those teachers. The deputy chiefs are also providing professional development to those individuals on district initiatives, like Kelly previously stated, the exit slips and purpose statements. So we've provided that professional development support and feedback to the teachers. Administrators are doing that with us and assistant principals, so it's been a really great partnership for teachers to be getting that feedback on a 100% weekly basis. That means 100% of our teachers, in most cases, are getting that weekly feedback. And it's really, really driving and motivating our teachers to do better. Another way that we're providing support to our teachers is we are providing mentors to 100% of all of our new teachers in the district. This is in hopes that we do not lose our teachers. If they have a cohort and a support system, they're more likely to stay. Every single teacher in our district right now is paired with a mentor. They meet, they collaborate, they encourage each other, hopefully, and they work together. We also have resident educators, and they meet once a month as a cohort also to get some extra professional development. Next, I want to talk to you about how we're preparing children to succeed in post-secondary opportunities. So we've been monitoring our student growth through the use of our weekly grade level tracking reports, our early warning intervention systems, and as Kelly previously stated, our weekly bag reports that have recently begun to be shared with our 3 through 12 parents. This is really awesome too. Our parents are now, and our students, are receiving that information on a weekly basis, which is something that was not happening before. And as Kelly stated, it's really important. You don't want to let it get to the end of the 9-week grading period to see that you're struggling. Parents are receiving that information now on a weekly basis, and the students are too. We're also monitoring our students in grades K through 3 with RIMPS, which stands for Reading Improvement and Monitoring Plans. So every student who's identified is not on track in their reading, they have a strategic plan that is focused on strategies and interventions to address their needs. Teachers are monitoring those, building administrators and deputy chiefs are also providing support to those teachers to make sure that these students are succeeding. And that aligns to our 3rd grade reading guarantee and our 1st grade promise. We are also having some exciting opportunities through junior achievement. Every single 4th and 5th grade student in our district participate in the junior achievement program. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it is a really great program. Students are learning about things that we as adults need to know, how to balance our money, how to spend appropriately, how to balance a checkbook. And as a former 4th grade teacher in the district, it was something very exciting to see little 4th graders with a pretend checkbook and talking about things that we know that are going to affect them forever. How to manage their money, how to save their money. It's a really great program. So that's still going on. It's also happening at the middle and high school levels as well. We are very proud of this statistic. 68% currently right now of our over 300 seniors have filled out their FAFSA. That is huge. That is something that was not monitored before in our district, but through the 5-week review process, we are now tracking that on an every 5-week basis. And we are seeing through the use of a variety of community partners how that number has been increasing in our high schools. We've had college and career fairs, we've had AmeriCorps and a variety of other organizations and partnerships that are helping push that number even higher, hopefully 100% soon. Next, I'm going to introduce to you Joe Moranto, who's going to talk about the National Career Technical Honor Society.
Thank you, Christian. Joe Moranto, Chief of Career Tech and Adult Ed. I guess I'm the veteran on the leadership team for 14 years, not like Old Man River, so long. But anyway, the National Career Technical Honor Society, that is an honor society for students in career tech. We're excited about that. It promotes the importance of career technical education along with academics. Students have to maintain a 3.0 average. A 3.0 average in their career tech course to complete the 2-year program, but they also have to maintain that point average in their academics. So we really show the students the value of, you may have a skill, but you also have to have your academics as well. The other initiative we started this year, which we're real excited about, is the career trees for career and technical education. And this is an example. If you go to Shofford or even the 3 career tech programs that we offer at Cheney, you'll see outside of each classroom door a career tree specific to the particular pathway. And what it shows is the opportunities for kids if they get entry-level careers, a little more education or training, technical careers up on the tree, professional careers. So it really shows students it's more than your old-fashioned vocational where we're training you just to do this. We're now putting you on a career pathway. Your opportunities are endless. The other good thing, each kid gets a leaf. Because in the classroom, we have a giant poster like this that the teachers use every day. And Vince knows that. They get a leaf, they put their name on it, and they find themselves, here's where I see myself on the tree at the end of my 2-year program. And we're feeling that's really going to encourage kids to continue, set goals, and have great opportunities for the future. So we're real excited about implementing that program this year in the district. And I'll be back later this month.
That's okay. Next, we have another Deputy Chief of Transformation, Michelle McCautry.
Good afternoon. I'm the Deputy Chief of Transformation at REC and YEC, and I'm here to speak to you about Objective D, which is eliminating the achievement gap. We have increased the number of pre-kindergarten sites. We went from 14 sites last year to currently at 24 sites. Our enrollment numbers went from 382 students to 496. They're receiving an additional 761 hours of instruction, as Mr. Mohib highlighted earlier. New this year is the option of full day, in which we have 100% of our sites operating as a full day site. In addition, we've developed out-of-school learning activities, such as our after-school program, where we utilize a program called iReady. iReady is a computer-based program aligned to math and reading Common Core standards. After school is a 2.5-hour program where students do receive a snack and dinner. The other after-school program that we expanded this year is our credit recovery program. It's called Courses on Track. This is a computerized virtual online program utilized through Apex, where students spend 2 hours after school recovering those credits at East, Shoffin, and Cheney. Schools are also scheduling courses on track during the day based on student need. We started with 82 seniors in this program. And through the hard work of administration, teachers, students, we are down to 32 students that still need to recover those credits, which they will continue to work on during the expanded program during summer school. We monitor student progress through the use of 5-week reviews. The 5-week review creates a level of accountability from the principals, teachers, secretaries, all the way down to the students. We focus on, as you've heard before, the BAG report, as we heard from Kelly, behavior, attendance, and grades. And we put in place interventions to improve those areas, and then we celebrate those students that are reaching those goals. All parts of the 5-week review are connected to the strategic plan and the metrics. We also monitor through the use of RTI, response to intervention, through the PSST process, which stands for Positive Student Support Teams. This is an intervention process that focuses on students and their needs, where they are progress monitored every 2 to 3 weeks, academically, behaviorally, and social emotionally. Lastly, we monitor student progress through the use of OIP, the Ohio Improvement Process. More specifically, the TBT process, which stands for Teacher-Based Teams, where teachers work across grade levels or content areas in these teams. Most of the time, they meet every week. To discuss, when they meet, they discuss students and their needs, as well as the instructional strategies that teachers are utilizing to improve student achievement. Exit slips is where this comes in and are discussed at length at the TBT. And they're used as the data source to drive the instruction. And now I'd like to have Tim come back up, and he's going to talk about the next steps of Goal 1.
Thank you, Michelle. As you can see, it's critical, the folks that presented and those deputy chiefs of transformation, they're that mid-level connection that possibly might have been lacking in previous implementations of plans, because as you know, there have been several plans that have been offered for the district in the past previous years, and even though they might have been generated on some good data and were well thought out and were good plans, but at the implementation phase there were some lacking components. And I think that the role of the deputy chiefs of transformation is critical, because now they're a bridge between what's happening here at the central office and what's happening in the buildings, and they work very closely with the principals and their leadership teams, so that we're implementing the plan with fidelity, monitoring that implementation, and then looking at how we're going to provide support for folks so they can move along. And I think that's been a missing component. You know, we talk about a triangle as far as improvement, and in business you probably are aware of this as well. But the triangle is you always have high expectations for folks, and I think the strategic plan and the metrics are setting some high expectations. But under that, you also have accountability, and we have to hold each of us accountable, and that's all the way down through the system. The CEO is holding our seniors leadership accountable, we're holding folks underneath us accountable, and all the way down to the student, that whole principle. But sometimes what's been missing is that support, which is like the base of the triangle. Even though we have those high expectations for folks all the way up and down the line, sometimes we haven't provided that necessary support. And I think that when you look at that from the senior leadership, and you look all the way down to the student, if that's our triangle and we're applying it, we're going to be successful. Because it needs to be all three. It can't just have the high expectations and then holding people accountable without the support. You have to have that safety net. And I think that as we apply those principles across our organization, we'll see the success that we need to have. So our next steps moving forward. And even though what was shared with you is quite a lot of work in 9 months that's been done, we still have a long way to go. Because even though we've implemented some of these things, now it has to take hold. We have to monitor it, give feedback, and support it so it's implemented with fidelity. So we have a lot of work to do. Our next steps: set and document goals for each student that include an academic plan and interventions needed to meet their growth, the students' growth targets. We talked a little bit about that. We have some pockets of that going on, but not for every student. And so when you talk about goal 1, which talks about providing top grade instruction and having all your students achieve at a high level, which means all students, I don't think we necessarily have done that. And I think this is what we're trying to accomplish. Where is the student? What do they need? Make sure we give it to them in a short amount of time so they can progress. Provide coaching and mentoring for senior leadership and principals. Some of that started, we talked a little bit about that, but that's probably been a missing part of what's happened in previous plans. We haven't addressed the leaders enough and given them the professional development so they can lead in an appropriate way under a vision that we've set. So that's something we're continuing to work on and we'll have to improve. Next up, 9th grade academy. Research is clear about students that are successful and graduate from high school, that 9th grade is critical. So we've got to reach back into our 8th grades, do some work, create these 9th grade academies, do some bridge work in the summer, isolate them from the rest of the high school, set a separate program in place so they can be successful, only taught by the same teachers, have one principal in charge, so they're separated, so we can ensure that they're getting what they need to get that foundational piece to be able to graduate from high school and go on a career path, regardless of whether it's college or career. Another next step is we're going to increase some of those assessments. Even though we have some formative and benchmark assessments to help us with growth, we want to see how our students are doing compared to other students across the nation. So we're going to institute the PSAT at the 10th grade, use the ACT Aspire at the middle grades and 9th grade so we can get a sense of where our kids are at and what they need so we can give them what they need as they progress through those upper grade levels. We also want to look at and help our families expand their opportunities to apply for grants so that they realize what they can do from their end. Again, the concept of holding everybody accountable is not just requiring the school district to move this school district forward. We need to encompass everybody at the table and to make that happen. So by doing that, we're going to allow parents to take some ownership of helping their students progress. We're also looking at developing a night school and then strengthen the after-school program that we already talked about. And we're talking about that night school in regards to our older students naturally. There are some students that just aren't able to work through day school, or they may need credit recovery at different times. We've got to put that in place so we get everybody on track, graduating on time like they're supposed to be. That will be developed and enhanced based on what we did with courses at Tron Track. And then lastly, one of the other next steps for us is, since we've now opened up preschool in 24 sites, and now we have full day preschool, that's a different set of situations that we haven't been in before. Because previously we had our students for half a day. So how much monitoring and progress, how many assessments could you put in place? I mean, they basically get there and they're going out the door. Now that we have a full day, we can now expand some assessments to help our students figure out where they're at and give them what they need when they're at age 3, 4, and 5, so that we can eventually get to 100% of our students graduating on time. So those are some of our next steps and challenges that we have before us, and we are attempting to put all those in place before the start of next year. Okay, so those are our next steps for Goal 1, but along with Goal 1 and Goal 2, we have some other things that are going on I think you need to be aware of. And I want to introduce to you Patrick Lowry, and he'll be speaking to you about some of the initiatives that he's embarking on right now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As part of the next steps for Goal 1, provide you information on 2 projects being initiated by the school district. First, on April 29th, the school district is sponsoring a district-wide volunteer day to build gardens at 12 of our schools in one day. We're going to install approximately 85 raised bed gardens, and those beds, even as we speak today, those beds are being built by our own students over at Schofields. I'm also happy to report a slight problem with our volunteer day. We may have too many volunteers. And for that, I thank Linda Hoey and Dominique Howes for the work that they do in engaging our parents in the work that we do. So why school gardens? The research shows that outdoor school gardens can provide meaningful educational opportunities and provide strong connections to classroom activities for students. School gardens supplement classroom instruction by providing hands-on learning, especially for science and math classes. School gardens have been shown to improve a student's self-esteem and sense of responsibility, and provide them the appreciation for food origins and nutrition. Our partners in this project, the Ohio State University Extension in Canfield and the horticultural staff at Mill Creek Metro Parks, will assist the district with both curriculum development and ongoing maintenance of the gardens. We've also had financial support for this project from Simon Roofing, Home Savings and Loan, and Illuminate, which has covered all of the expenses for the April 29th building project. Garden curriculum implementation will begin in the summer school of this year, 2017. The other project under Goal 1 is our relationship with the YMCA, the Youngstown YMCA in Camp Fitch. The YMCA has a long history of partnering with the school district, but in recent years only a few schools have taken advantage of that relationship. The YMCA goals of supporting youth development, improving health, and fostering each child's cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development are our goals also. It is our intention to enhance that relationship during the 2017-2018 school year. The programs that we intend to implement include a swimming program for all of our students in either kindergarten or first grade, to provide each of our sixth graders a 3-day, 2-night outdoor experience at Camp Fitch, and for our seventh graders, a leadership and government curriculum, which includes speakers and activities through the school year and culminates in an overnight trip to Columbus, Ohio, and a visit to the Ohio State House. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I think you recognize Pat. He did a lot of work with Tim Ryan, so we're happy to have him. His title is the Director of Strategic Initiatives, and some of the contacts he have with some of our community agencies is critical as we move forward with some of these projects. So lastly, if there are any questions, we'll be done with Goal 1. I'm sorry it's taken so long. We're way over our time, but I think this is a critical part of the plan, just like Goal 2.
I just want you to unscramble some alphabet soup for me.
Sure.
You did the PSST, I think I've heard of that, but RTI and the TBT. What do those initials stand for?
Okay. The RTI is response to intervention.
Response to intervention?
Yes.
Okay.
So, the concept is we're going to provide an intervention naturally, and then is it working? And we're going to evaluate that and try something different. So
Okay.
that's part of that. And we typically meet in teams to make those decisions when we have students.
Really, I just want to know what
Sure.
those are.
I got it.
TBT.
I know, we really have a problem with that in education. We have a lot of.
It's not just education involved.
Okay. And the TBT is a teacher-based team.
Teacher-based.
So we have the Ohio Improvement Process, which is OIP, and we have District Leadership Team, which is DLT, and then we have Building Leadership Team, which is BLT, and then you have your TBT. That's a structure which we're under, which we're required to be under, and we work with the state support team in helping implement that process. Any other questions? Okay. Yes.
Brought up the subject of purpose statements and exit slips. I know that was a big initiative early on. Was hoping to hear some data on where we've gotten to at various grade levels or buildings in participation by the teaching staff and feedback now that time has passed and how successful that's been.
Okay, so what we have done is through the observation tracker right now that was referred to earlier, where teachers are getting feedback, those are still the only two items right now that we're still looking at our purpose statements, whether there's an implementation of purpose statements and or exit slips. So the feedback that the teachers are getting, when we talked about the numbers of 100% of teachers getting feedback, it's a relationship to that. So to have a quantitative number about How many, I'm not sure we're doing that in the 5-week review, although we have those conversations. But for the most part, we're seeing excellent implementation, which needs to be tweaked based on what, how good the purpose statements are. So that feedback that the teachers are getting is in relationship to that. So we could constantly continue to monitor that. So if a principal goes into a classroom, or one of the deputy chiefs of transformation, or an assistant principal goes into the classroom, they're putting that information in that tracker so that we can identify and have conversations about those in those 5-week reviews.
Yeah, I think I was looking more specifically towards the issue. We talk a lot about accountability as we roll out the strategic plan here. Accountability means we don't talk about the same thing every week.
Right,
The same
right,
instructors,
right.
and that we're actually getting data showing that participation and buy-in is improving. I think as we go into the next report out, I think I'd like to see very specific data to show that we're actually accomplishing growth in these areas.
We definitely can get that. We definitely can get that.
Thank you. Yes.
And specifically, well, I think Vince had one, but that was following up on yours. I think we got a readout before that showed what, when they were done that by buildings in different months, didn't we, though? And that,
Right.
in that same report, I think.
We can get that information to you.
To make a difference between what you got
Right.
and that in terms of buy-in and what we're seeing now.
So we were doing our observation trackers at the beginning. We had about 15 to 20% of our teachers are getting weekly feedback. Right now, we're anywhere between 85 and 95% of our teachers are getting weekly feedback on their purpose statement and exit slips. All of our teachers are doing purpose statements and exit slips. However, our focus has shifted from are you doing it to how well are you doing it. So that's the data we'll also provide for you.
Yeah, that's helpful. I think that was what I was looking to get some insight into, just where have we grown to?
Yeah, I thought you were looking for hard
Have we
numbers.
gotten, have we-
Yeah, and that monster of a book I gave you there,
Yes.
the first few pages, there's guidance tools that we use. So that's how we give our feedback to our teachers. So the guidance tool around purpose statements and the guidance tool around the exit slips. And we'll be able to show you at the next ADC meeting just how well our teachers are performing in relation to that guidance tool. So that what the deputy chiefs do, and we have data on this, is that they have weekly walkthroughs in addition to the observation trackers. These are weekly walkthroughs that the deputy chiefs do, and they use those guidance tools as the anchor. And they then come back and report back to me on a weekly basis to say, overall, how is this school doing in relation to purpose statements and exit slips? So we'll have that data for you at the next meeting.
I guess one follow-on on that, from our perspective at this point, impact on retention of the purpose statement, the curriculum and the purpose of that day's lesson. Where are we at with really being able to correlate improvement in educational outcomes as a result of implementing this? Do we have any data to?
As far as on the performance of students,
Yes.
and whether it's having an impact on, what the implementation of the purpose statement. So, that's not a really short answer question, because some of the professional development that our teachers are receiving are around standards and the creation of those purpose statements. We have to ensure that they're aligned to those standards, and so some of that may show some gains, but I don't think we're at the stage of implementation where we're going to see those gains, overnight.
What principals are doing, they each have exit slip trackers. Sorry, that's the term we have for it. And essentially shows on a day-by-day basis which students learned the lesson that was created by that purpose statement and which ones didn't. And then they go back in their TDTs, and that's when their teacher-based teams, and that's when they go back and they have conversations around actual students. So the purpose statement really isn't going to have more of an impact on the actual lesson delivery. We haven't gotten to that stage yet. That's what we'll be rolling out with teacher fellows that you'll hear about later. And next year, as we roll out our instructional framework, that's really what is going to have an impact on the student outcomes. But for right now, what we're doing is we're building that practice of saying, every day this is what we set out to teach, and every day this is how many students obtain that lesson.
And we will have some more information on student performance and student growth, because as we assessed, as we implemented the purpose statements and exit slips, we did an assessment with the STAR assessment and the DIBELS, and we'll be redoing those in May. So we'll have some indication of how the growth has been, maybe as opposed to what's occurred in previous years. So, I mean, I think this is like a 3 to 5 year turnaround in some of this, some of the implementation of where we're at, and this is, we're really at the beginning of this. So the fact that we're talking about what we're learning, and we know why we're learning it, and we're going to know how the students have mastered or shown that they can do it, that is so critical. That those three things are so critical, and I think that moving forward, the data is going to flow. The data is going to flow.
Yeah, my question is, are you able to get enough quality data out of the exit slips? Can you say were formative assessments, or are you looking for the summative assessments too from those? Are you able to get enough quality information?
Right, so naturally the exit slips are going to be, the quality of what we get out of them are going to be based on the quality of them. So there's that as well. But we're using summative assessments as well. And naturally we can use grades as an indicator, because right now that's what's in our bag reports. And if students are getting what they're supposed to learn and doing well on their summative assessments, then naturally their grades are going to go higher. So right now that's an indicator that we can utilize from week to week if we get better at those exit slips. So we're using them for both. But again, it's based on the quality of the purpose statement and the quality of the exit slip, and whether it's targeted to where it needs to be, and it's also meeting the students of where they're at and how we move forward. So we have the information about them. What are we doing to make sure they're going forward? Does that answer your question?
Somewhat.
Yeah, I think I had the same question, because it seems like we have at this point infrastructure in place to get a pretty good sense of the impact of this program. I appreciate the fact that, it's year one we're implementing, but I just would hate to miss an opportunity to really start to sort out some of the data we have and really see, are we impacting education and providing that positive feedback to our teaching staff who have embraced this, and those that are on the fence to help, coach them along.
So it relates to some of the things that Mr. Mohib talked about having that assessment structure, where we're assessing all of our kids and have an idea of growth. So that is part of our issue. The only other measure that we're using now in those 5 reviews are the grades. So right now, that's going to be the biggest indicator. Can we reduce the number of D's and F's moving forward between the 5 weeks? And can we attribute to some of that to the purpose statements and the exit slips, so that we're having a conversation in those TBTs about, okay, this is what we did, this is how our kids did, what are we doing about it collectively in those teacher-based teams that move forward? So those are all rich discussions, but a lot of moving parts before we see the gains we want to see.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Question in the back?
Yes.
I want to ask a question about the exit step and how they relate to accountability. And as a parent, what I noticed is that my grandson in elementary school, the elementary school teachers do a very good job with the purpose statement, why do we do it, have the kids sit on the carpet, turn around to each other, ask each other questions, and then go on with the lesson of that day, and then create the exit step. But as you move up in the grade, that kind of falls off and that kind of slacks off. So in this district, we've had some great superintendents, we've had some great teachers, what we have not seen is accountability. So that's why I came to this meeting today, because I agree with the CEO and everything that he's trying to do. And he's been out in the community, and he's putting out these initiatives together. But when everybody is not tapped into the vision, you have people that are fighting just because of the fight. And it's trickling down to our students. And I don't know what the data says, but after elementary school, we're looking to put our kids somewhere else because we don't want to go through the junior high and high school experience. So when are we going to hear anything about accountability when you have these plans in place and they're not being carried out?
That's a very good question. So I'll take a stab at that. We definitely have different levels of implementation across the district, and we are aware of that. And so we have conversations about that, and we recognize, like I had mentioned earlier, is that majority of these things are in infancy, and we do have a situation where folks do not see the value of the vision. There's no question about it. So through the evaluation process that the principals are doing, we're hoping to align some of that feedback so that there's some accountability for the execution. And as we move forward, as more people jump in, the effectiveness of how students are doing are going to hopefully push teachers to utilize those. We have conversations in teacher-based team meetings where there's some teachers, and this is why the exit slip tracker is really important in some of the buildings that they're using it. Because what happens when the principal is looking at the exit trackers and the principal knows which teachers are utilizing and implementing the purpose statement and exit slips at a high level, they can point to and utilize data in regards to how those students are doing in the classroom as well. So we're hoping that that collaborative effort, that teachers are sharing that practice, that it builds a community of learners that want to implement. But we have a ways to go, like I said at the beginning. You're hearing a lot of great things that have started, but they're nowhere near where they need to be.
So I will say, just very briefly, Rochelle, I understand what you're saying. We do hold teachers accountable. What we did a few months ago is we sat down with every principal and with every deputy chief, and we went school by school, and we had conversations around every single teacher in the building to ask about their attendance, to ask about their practices of grading, and to look at their evaluations and to see if principals agreed with how they were evaluated the previous year. I was spurred to do this because as I looked at our school data and looked at our evaluations, they did not match. It was hard for me to understand some of the things I was seeing in some of the growth metrics, and then looking at how we are rating our teachers, to see 95% of our teachers skilled and accomplished, and then to see very few teachers on improvement plans. The purpose of an improvement plan is to improve them, not to remove them. And that was the spirit of that. And then from that process, we saw over 50 teachers placed on plans this year in the hopes that they can improve and improve in the areas that the principals felt that they needed that support. So we are holding teachers accountable, and as Tim said, we're holding them accountable through the observation policies that we have in OPES.
Thank you for your question. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions from the audience on this?
Okay, I'd like to introduce Lori Kopp, who's our Chief of Student Services.
Thank you, good afternoon, and I'm happy to be here to address everyone. This is an exciting time in the district with the new reconfiguration of our schools. With the pre-K through 8 buildings, we're excited about that because I think that that'll be a great support for some of our special education students who sometimes do experience some difficulty with transitions. Being that they're going to be able to be in one building, I think will be a great support for them. Last spring, the special education office was under a corrective action plan, and we're still working through that. We have trainings going on in IEP and ETR compliance. We've had some co-teaching PD done, but we need to do more that's more targeted and purposeful within the district. Those are some things that we're looking at for next school year and in our next steps. In addressing our gifted population, we have 65 students that are gifted, serviced, and identified. And by spring of next school year, we will have 30 hours of PD to align with the Ohio operating standards. Once again, I want to kind of go back to discuss a little bit about the PD and the student support department. We need to concentrate on the delivery of instruction for our special education students, because a lot of times we're getting hung up on that compliance piece, the paper pencil compliance, but we need to take the IEP, we need to make sure that we're delivering the instruction and we're aligning the goals and objectives with that instruction. And that's where some of our next steps are going to be with professional development. A lot of times, a lot of our audits have just been that paper pencil, is the IEP compliant? Are we writing this the right way? We need to bring that, take a step back, and look at how we're actually delivering the instruction, and are we providing the accommodations and the supports and the modifications that are needed for all our students, whether it's an inclusion classroom, a resource room, or a self-contained classroom for our autism students. Next, we're going to talk about our 504s and ETRs and IEPs. Right now, we do a random check of those documents. We're looking once again for that compliance, but this has been a really positive plan that we've done. We have a team that looks at any incoming ETR or IEP that comes in or 504 because it allows us to take a close look and a close view at the goals and the objectives, and if any of those need changed or amended to help the child. So this has really helped us with instruction. And once again, to kind of piggyback on what Mr. Flipovich said, we were sometimes operating in separate in departments and we weren't communicating, but now we are communicating. So the special education teachers are getting the same professional development that the gen ed teachers are getting with exit slips and purpose statements and those things. Maybe in the past that was something that we needed to work on. And addressing the STEM programs, as you heard in the announcement of our district's reconfiguration, we're going to have STEM programs, hopefully pre-K through 12 next year with some foreign language programs. I shouldn't say hopefully, we will. And right now we have STEM classes at Kirkmere that feed into Cheney, and we have 3 classes at East. But it's our hope to open up those opportunities, or I shouldn't say hope, we will open up those opportunities to all students in the district, and that'll help us with our corrective action plan, because I'm sure, as you know, that was one of the points that the specialty programs were kind of not allowing all students the same opportunities. But with this reconfiguration, the programs are going to be offered everywhere, so all children will have an opportunity if that's what they would want. Next, I'm going to talk about our response to intervention. We need to take a look at this process. That's one of our next steps for next school year. Right now, I think we do a good job on the actual implementing of the interventions. It's not something we don't want the teachers and the building teams to see as it's something additional that they have to do. It just should be best practice and common nature in the classroom. So those are some areas. I think we've gotten better with that, but that is definitely something that we're working towards. But I think aligning and re-looking at the PSST process and aligning it with some of the steps in the corrective action plan will help that process. So it doesn't seem to be so many steps to go over before we can actually get the supports that the child needs. And right now we've reached out to Jennifer Merritt, who is from the Mahoney County ESC, and she is one of 700 trainers in restorative practices and trauma, and she's been doing professional development across the district for our teachers and educational assistants, principals, everyone, about trauma-based education, about restorative practices, along with some of the psychologists from the Student Support Department. And this is aligning directly with our Student Code of Conduct and our Social Emotion Intelligence and some of the work that Dominique's office is doing that you'll hear about, and some of the work that Pat's office has been doing. And I'm excited to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and talk about from Mr. Moranto, our counseling for pregnant and parenting teens. And what's nice about this is sometimes, we just concentrate on mom and we forget about dad and we forget about post-care. This program, Margaret Stanko does it all. She talks to the mom, she talks to the dad, she follows the child postnatal, prenatal. So it's a great program. I don't know, Mr. Moreno, if I covered it all. Okay, all right, I don't want to sell that great program for you. Let me move along here. Yes, it is very good. What is wrong with my clicker? There we go. Okay, some of the challenges within my department, as I said, we're looking at reorganizing a lot of the departments so that we can put some more supports within the buildings for the teachers, so that, like I said, we get away from that paper pencil compliance and we're in there making sure that the actual instruction is going on. Because in speaking with people from, like Dr. Davis, who's been helping us with supporting us through the Ohio Department of Education out of the Office for Exceptional Children, the next audits aren't going to be paper and pencil. Is your IEP compliant? It's going to be, are we following that instruction on that IEP? Are those kids actually getting the frequency and the minutes that are on there? Are they actually getting the accommodations that need to be provided, the modifications, all those things? So that's where we really need to look at in our department in a reorganization and realignment of that. And we brought in some support from Mahoney County ESC to help us do that. Linda Yosei, Jennifer Merritt, like I said, has been helping out. And we also have a good connection with our state support team and Dr. Davis from the Office for Exceptional Children. So we're really talking about targeting the professional development. I think we do it, and then a lot of times I know in my department we would do it because you have an audit and you had to do it. Those days have to be gone. We have to do it because it's right and it's purposeful and it has to be done each year, not just to get past an audit and to be compliant. So I think once we get a PD plan in place that allows us to do that, we'll be more successful in the areas of instruction. We will be successful in the areas of instruction. I know that. Okay, and I talked a little bit about our next steps, but I really want to bring home, I feel as if that the co-teaching part, we kept, zeroing in on our special education teachers, and I feel that we've neglected the gen ed teachers in that area. They need the supports too in providing those best practices. And why is it important that these goals and objectives are followed? And how do I do that? How do I differentiate when I've got 3 or 4 different kids in this classroom? It's second nature for some of our special ed teachers because we've been doing it for so long. But, we bring these kids in the classroom and say, okay, now co-teach them. They're in here. So we really want to provide them the support that they need. And I personally feel that that's been an area that we need to improve upon. And like I said, I'm looking at evaluating current strategies within my department and reorganizing the department so that there is more support out there, just like for the instruction department where they have people out there every day. We can get that support out there and they can work alongside with the instruction department because we want to be done with the days, like I said, of one department operating and another department operating. And that's what's exciting about the district reconfiguration. I think it's going to allow for that, and it's bringing us all together, and that's what's exciting about it. Next, I'm going to bring up my friend Pat here, and he's going to talk a little bit about student health and wellness. Take your notes there.
Thank you, Logan. As part of next steps for Goal 2, I'm going to provide you with some information on 2 special projects. The first is which is student health and wellness. Children need to be healthy to learn. They need to be able to see and to hear. They need to not have high levels of lead in their blood. And if they suffer from asthma, they need to be treated. With a list of partners that includes Mercy Health, Akron Children's Hospital, United Way, Classic Optical, and our own school nurses, we are hoping to provide proper screenings district-wide and arrange for treatment if necessary for our students. It is also well known that rates of chronic diseases are increasing. Obesity in school-age children is reaching epidemic proportions, and too many of our children face the risk of type 2 diabetes. Through nutrition education, our garden program, and the work of our partners, we will work to ensure that our students are ready to learn and on a path to success. It's also, as soon as we can accomplish it, hopefully summer, fall, we hope to update the district-wide health and wellness policy for the district. The second project that I want to speak with you about is the implementation of a social and emotional learning into the school curriculum beginning summer school this summer. Why social and emotional learning? Social and emotional learning provides 5 competencies needed for success in school, but also it provides competencies that are expected by employers nationwide. Those competencies include self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Social and emotional learning is not just for students, but in fact can provide the framework for how the administration, the teaching staff, students, and parents interact with each other. Social and emotional learning can help create a welcoming, participatory, and caring climate for learning. Fully implemented, social and emotional learning will support curriculum choices, classroom instruction, both with direct practices as well as integrated instruction in reading, math, history, and other core subjects. Again, implementation will begin with programming in 2017. And social and emotional learning also, by the way, our teachers, our administrative staff, and others will all get professional development in social and emotional learning. Thank you.
And real quick, I just want to make sure that we understand, it seems like we're throwing like all these, social emotional learning, mindfulness, restorative practices, it all ties together, and that's what I'm working hard in my department to do by the realignment of it, because I don't want it to seem like we're throwing all these different initiatives out there. We will make them all align, and that's why I'm excited about reorganizing the department and getting the supports out there that the teachers need, guidance counselors, everything. Are there any questions?
I'm glad, oh.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because it does sound like a lot. And I know that that has been a criticism of the district in the past, that from left, right, up, and down, there's always something, and there's lots of new stuff, and things leave and come, and people don't know.
And I can attest for that, because I've been here for 30
Yeah,
years,
so
so
I'm
there's
glad to
lots of
hear about
programs.
that there's a coordination coming. And I'm specifically and purposefully saying coming, because I feel like more so in this section, there's a lot of, we're reviewing, we're developing, we're researching. And it's a lot of words and narrative, and I don't feel the intentionality around what's actually happening. And I'm wondering too if it's because we get all of it today, so it's a lot to absorb and take in and reflect, and then be able to respond as a commission meaningfully. So I'm feeling somewhat overwhelmed in this moment right now, because a lot of information, and I don't think we can contribute in a way that's very helpful in the moment. It's more of a statement than a question at all. Period.
That's no, and understood, but.
It was kind of on the same level, and my question was to Pat about the wellness. Is that going to be something that's community-based? Will the professionals come into the school,
Yes.
work with the students?
Yes, I've already had communications with the partners that I mentioned, and they're actually very excited to provide services. Some of them already are, but certainly we want to expand those.
Grade levels for the social emotional. What are the grade levels?
So we're going to begin this summer with primarily the summer school program, which is K to 8, and then but eventually implemented district-wide. And really, in many respects, we're going to begin with certain programming, and in some cases, the professional development where we get more of our teachers involved will take more time.
And just to bring a little clarity, from my part, we are reviewing and researching a lot because we are under corrective action plan. Dr. Davis is coming down next week for 2 days to spend with us, to go over things, to make sure we're moving in the right direction, to put policies and procedures in together that are intentional. So there is a lot of reviewing and researching on this end, because we do have a lot of work to do, but it will get done. And next year we'll be a lot further ahead than we are right now, that's for sure.
So to that, in my previous comment, as you're going through this process, you'll also then start to attribute some goals. I'm thinking about the earlier with the bag with the students. Will that be, so when we're talking about pregnancy and counseling and the like, are we putting some goals to those so we know when we get there, when we're getting closer, we're falling miserably short?
Yes, we will look all into that, absolutely.
And then I think that kind of information would be really helpful the next time.
And so that's an overall theme of what we're trying to do here, because I hear you. We've done a lot of things in Youngstown, and even when I go back to contracts, the way we write them, there aren't specific objectives, there aren't things that we hold people accountable to. So as we bring in different programs, that's where something like the bag report came from, is because we're doing purpose statements and exit slips and looking at attendance. We wanted to have some type of roll-up report, and that's what the bag report was. So as we're bringing in new initiatives, we will look for ways to have tangible data that we look at and hold people accountable to on a regular basis.
And that's what's great too, because like I said, I've been here, but because of Mr. Mohib and different people that have come in, they're coming in with a different lens and make you see things in a different way that maybe I didn't look at or see before. So that I think that'll really help a lot too in some of my processes and the way I think and do things.
This is clearly out of my realm of expertise, but my sense of this issue, you know, as I look at special education, special needs in education, districts that get it and get it right it's a cultural issue. Everybody buys in that this is an obligation we need to take on and take to heart. Where are we at in
Well,
really
about 3 years ago, ODE did come in and they said we had far too many self-contained classrooms. We had students with specific learning disabilities in self-contained classrooms all day. So we had to take a hard look at that. And we did last year, maybe a little too quickly. Through the IEP process, we moved children out into inclusion classrooms, into resource rooms. We still have our self-contained classrooms for those children that need it. But it is a cultural thing, and we're all learning together and moving through it together. It's a process, and when I talk about reorganization, I think getting those supports in the buildings every day for the teachers, for the gen ed teachers, for the special ed teachers, to help them think differently when working with our special needs children, because it's a lot. You know, it's a lot to have 4 or 5 different differentiation to do on students. So that's where we're looking at when I talk about reorganization.
obviously professional development's a part of this change.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I want to be more purposeful in that professional development. In the past, I mean, I've been through about 4 or 5 audits. It's been, let's do the PD, let's get through the audit so we can get, cleared. But it has to be targeted now, purposeful and continuous. We don't just do it to get through an audit. We do it because it's what needs to be done to be a successful district and to make the children successful.
Last comment. I think getting to the point where your department isn't seen as the police or the sheriff with the white hat coming in and seeing that we're doing the right things in the classroom. I think if we really accomplish this from a cultural standpoint, it needs to be driven by others in the organization, and you're there to support them. So I think that's when we'll know, I think, when we've made some progress in this area.
And I feel like we do talk about compliance a lot, but that's special education, so yeah. But any other questions? Okay.
Questions from the audience?
I just want to make a comment. Again, on my grandson, I've had to work with this team, and they have done an excellent job.
Thank you.
And you know I asked a lot of questions. So I asked a million questions, and I gave them a run for their money, and I left a satisfied customer. And under this new leadership of working with Lori Cobb, she answered all my questions. She had it. Everything is running smooth. We're still in the process of working it out. And I am very well satisfied customer with how this team is working with me and my grandson throughout this session.
And we are working it out. We do have a lot to work out, but we will work it out and we will get it right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to our Deputy Chief of School Culture and Community Innovation, our friend Dominique House.
So good afternoon. I'm Dominique House. I'm the Deputy Chief of School Culture and Community Innovation over Youngstown City School District. So it's important for us to highlight our efforts in generating stronger parent, family, community ties. So Goal 3 is all about parent, family, and community engagement. And engaging parents, families, and community in meaningful experiences that impact students is one of our top priorities. So as a district, we're intentional about shaping welcoming spaces and places for parents and students, as well as strengthening strong connections between our institutions and our community. And Linda Hoey has done an exceptional job. I just wanted to say that. She's been doing great work throughout this district for the past 11 years in running and leading parent pathways with 15 student advocates who have been throughout our schools and programs for the 4th year in a row. And so what we've decided to do was look at best practices around the nation in regards to parent involvement. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And what are people doing in large urban districts where there's limitations on mobility, limitations on economic access? And so what Linda and I found is that our actual model in Youngstown is actually a competitive model, even in big cities like Chicago. And so what we decided to do is bring in SPC Educational Consulting to come and train our district on what it means to actually have impactful and effective parent engagement. And so they have a platform called You, Your Child's First Teacher, and we brought in some of our administrators, BLT members, Building Leadership Team members, school culture and climate members, as well as our parent advocates to actually go over the toolkit as to what effective parent engagement looks like. The next thing we're going to do is actually have our first parent week. It's going to be May 8th through the 13th. We're going to have these You, Your Child's First Teachers workshops available to all of our parents. We can only train up to 200 parents because of capacity, but these actual workshops are going to be throughout 5 different sites throughout the city, including unconventional spaces. So we've been in conversation with Villa Sneaker Store about having an actual workshop there. We're also launching Parent University, which is a digital and in-person space for our parents, which is an extension of Parent Pathways. So Parent University will give an opportunity for us to actually hear what are the needs of our parents. So not making assumptions as to what our community and families and parents needs, but what are they telling us they need? For instance, I know that one of our partners wanted to deliver resume workshops for our parents, and they discovered that some of our parents actually didn't have basic literacy skills. So how can we teach you about how to write a resume if you don't know how to read or write? So again, with Parent Pathways, they've been doing exceptional work, and so every year we have a Title I conference that's sponsored by our Title I office. This year we're really excited because it's going to be at the Stanball Auditorium on April 28th, but we're going to have an extremely special, awesome guest speaker. His name is Dr. Steve Perry. He's the author of 6 books. He's also a CNN education correspondent, and he's also the CEO of a charter school chain called Capital Prep, which is in Harlem in collaboration with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Parent Pathways has done a great job at making sure that parents are engaged in our surveys. Again, a lot of things that we've been doing has been based on what we've been called to do by leadership. And one of those things are filling out surveys. And what we're finding is that maybe some of our parents actually aren't responsive to the way in which we're dishing out our surveys. And so we're working on that. But we do have parent handbooks, and we also have resource tables at each one of our schools. Again, we have 15 parent advocates in all of our schools in each building. We also have a district parent liaison who's impeccable. Again, that's Linda Hoey. We also have an ELL translator and an in-house district support. We also have monthly community members where we see around 25 attendees. They're usually parents who come to the board to hear about initiatives throughout the city from our community partners, as well as programs and initiatives that are happening in-house throughout the district. So it's important for us to partner with the community to support the mission and vision of the district. This past fall, we were really excited to join the Taft Promise Neighborhood Coalition, which is a grassroots coalition that brought us to the table with 40 partners throughout the city. They primarily focus on economic development by means of housing and jobs, health and wellness, education, as well as neighborhood safety. We're on that team. We also partnered with Scott P. Smith of the White House's Stronger Communities, Stronger Cities, to make sure that we were connecting with the key influencers throughout this city and making sure we knew who are the people who can actually make this city move. Claudia Charity has also been a huge support in identifying folks throughout the city who are doing the work. We also have Pride, which you guys heard about earlier in the year, where we brought together 150 attendees for the first parent partnership retreat that we've ever had. So there were 150 stakeholders. They included teachers, parents, and folks from the community to come and talk about what does it mean to actually collaborate? What does it mean to build community? What does it mean to be an effective parent? And as an extension of that, we hold monthly meetings where we see around 50 to 60 parents on average who show up to talk about how to become a better parent. We also engage with families and the community through clear, timely communications, and we're intentional about customer service. So, actually, we want to be better about customer service. And so what we decided to do through Parent Pathways is create Parent University, but also make sure that we're updating our brand identity and our brand personality. And the first thing we decided to do was sit down with DesignWorks through Youngstown State University and update our logos. So make sure that our parents have a fresh new view of our position and our perspectives. And so we have a new logo for Parent Pathways, as well as a fine logo for Parent University. We're connecting on social media as well. We have a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Facebook with all aligned handles. What we found in the past is that our social media presence, there were some inconsistencies in the digital realm where we didn't necessarily see the same logos, the same handles, the same hashtags. So we're going to be aggressive about moving this social media forward starting May 1. But we also created our own hashtag, which is ParentU, which is YOU, like you know, Youngstown. And then we're also engaging in an international conversation that already exists through a hashtag, which is hashtag Parent Power. We're also going to be intentional about grassroots community engagement through guerrilla marketing. So the Tab Promise Neighborhood Coalition and their AmeriCorps Vistas are currently working on an Excel sheet where they're identifying touch points throughout the city where we see actual foot traffic. Where are people in Youngstown when they're not in their cars? We need to know so that we go to our community with flyers. So we're going hand in hand. So we're talking to people, we're shaking hands, and we're really, really happy about that. We're also joining the City of You campaign, and we're also launching the City of Youth with DesignWorks and YSU. And we're in current conversations about creating podcasts where we're capturing the narratives of families and students, as well as posting it on social media. And we're also organizing a campaign for parents that's reflective of Humans of New York. We're also organizing our key folks to collaborate with our communications department throughout the city of Youngstown to bring them to the table to hear their voice about what it is that the community actually needs. And so again, it's just really important for us to be able to identify key influencers and key collaborators throughout the city. But to make all of this actually work, and the commission actually brought it up, we have to create cultures of respect and rapport with students and families. So what's really important to us and what we kind of want to move our team on is this quote from Maya Angelou. And it basically states, I've learned that people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but people really never forget how you made them feel. And it's important for us, moving forward, that when our families, when our parents, when our community partners enter our spaces, into our buildings, spaces and places that we have control and power over, that they feel a sense of kindness, they feel respected, they know that we have patience, and they know that we're greeting them with empathy. And so a huge part of that is actually identifying a partner that can actually teach our entire district about what it means to deliver efficient and quality customer service. Linda Hoey is on that. She's actually someone who's worked in that industry for years, and she's actually identifying that partner. What we're also doing is making sure through the Office of the CEO, we're shaping school culture and climate teams at each one of our buildings. These folks are the same folks who are probably going to be coming from BLT teams, building leadership teams, but they're also just passionate people who understand the importance of delivering exceptional customer service. Another thing we're doing, again, like we do every year, is we're celebrating our parents on April 28th with Dr. Steve Perry and the rest of our parent advocates. We're celebrating 350 parents that were nominated by our teachers who are engaged, contrary to popular belief. So we're connecting with our community, and I'm going to bring up Joe Moranto, who's doing exceptional work at Schaffen. But before we get to the partnerships there, I just want to highlight some of the partners that we have throughout our city who are doing exceptional work with us right now. So United Way and Success After 6 has been a tremendous partner in making sure that our young people have basic literacy skills and places to go after school. OWILE is collaborating with us to make sure that we have welcome signage at each one of our schools. That was an in-kind donation from them. So when our parents come to our schools, they feel welcome and they're greeted. They have also waived membership fees for a lot of our students over at Taft. YSU are lending themselves in exceptional capacity. We are working with DesignWorks, HPAC through NeoMed, and the Ohio Youth Entrepreneurship Project, and even in early conversations about creating an entrepreneurship resource center, similar to the Youngstown Business Incubator, where our young people can actually access and create and innovate and imagine. YNDC through the Safe Routes initiatives, making sure that our kids can actually get to schools in a safe way, through walking, through bicycles. And we're also really proud of the work that the Youngstown After School Alliance has done, which has been headed by Claudia Charity and April Alexander. The Taft Promise Neighborhood has brought in over $1 million of in-kind resources that we didn't have to cover through volunteering and actual donations. The Youngstown Foundation has been extremely supportive in making sure that our students have scholarships and supporting our partners throughout the city. And then the collaboration between the Ween Foundation and Inspiring Minds and the International Partners in Mission. We're in the early stages of making sure that next year and the years to come, that we have an international immersion program for our high school students, which is impeccable, giving them access to the world and preparing them for global citizenship. City Kids Care in the Red Zone and Villa has been tremendous in making sure that we're identifying our families and the 90% of people that we serve who are on the ground and where they actually are, and making sure we have the language and skill set to communicate with them. So now I'm going to bring up Joe Maranta so he can talk about the awesome partners that we have over at Shopping.
Thank you. I'm going to go real quick. The hour's late and I know how to read a crowd. So, I know that everybody in the audience knows all these things we're doing in the commission. You pretty much know a lot of them too, but I just want to highlight a few highlights here, okay? The Community Connections Grant, headed by Lois Haynes Page, tremendous program. We're one of the first in the state to get it. We had our closing ceremony the other day. Real quick, you can see who we partnered with: Eastern Gateway, YSU, the Ministerial Alliance, and the Regional Chamber. We have 150 seniors in Youngstown that are in the program. Out of those, almost 100% are placed in jobs, early jobs, as well as we have 75 mentors from the community working with these kids. Once again, I don't take credit for that. I give it all to Lois and her coordinators. They do a great job. We're a member since the beginning of the Mahoning Valley Manufacturing Coalition. Through that coalition, we have finally seen the fruition of our hard labor and work, that we now have an adult welding lab and an adult machining lab through Eastern Gateway at Shoffin. They pay us rent. We attract the students. The advantage there is, if you haven't been there, you got to come see this new equipment. This is the future of manufacturing. That's the way factories are going to look. And our high school students have access to all the equipment and machines there at no cost to the district. It's a great coalition and a great group. We have the building and trade unions knocking at our door, recruiting students who were previously denied these opportunities in the past. Women, minorities, they're begging for our kids. Our kids know this. That's going to give them an incentive to finish school and get through it. Next week, Friday afternoon, a collaboration with the NAACP in our spring honors ceremony for our students, both realizing that we need to unite this city, we need to get off this divisiveness, and we think that's a good opportunity because we're all going for the same goals, to get our kids and our young people and our older people moving forward and get jobs and training. We collaborate with Eastern Gateway, as I mentioned. Just been a new dean. They've now been declared a branch, which means by next year we will have in place an articulation program. Every program at Shoffin will be fully articulated with Eastern Gateway, which means high school kids at Shoffin will be getting credit at Eastern Gateway. Articulated. They don't even have to take a test or anything. They complete the program, they get the credit. That's a great opportunity. The Board of Trustees at Shoffin, of course, supports us. We get at least $50,000 to $100,000 a year each year from that group to use for modernizing our equipment, and that's why we have the latest and greatest in equipment in all of our programs. ABLE, Dominique mentioned about a lot of our parents and a lot of our community people need refreshers in math, reading, to go back for job training, to go on. Maybe they're out of school, they want to go back to school. ABLE does that. We provide GED training and testing. We have the grant for the county. Mia Piano, can't say enough about what she does. Great job. And the latest collaboration, the MVICC, this is through YSU, and what we're doing is looking at students who are interested in manufacturing in that area are going on to advanced manufacturing and further degrees in engineering, etc. And the last example I'll use, I like Chaffin and Youngstown District, we're like the train. You know, get on the train. Some kids get off at Chaffin after that program and they just want to go right into apprenticeships or the world of work. Some want to stay on the train, go down to Eastern Gateway, get a 2-year associate. Some want to stay on the train and go right up the street to YSU and get off there. So we think we're collaborating, we're moving ahead, and this is what's going to turn this community around, these collaborations, jobs and poverty, jobs and crime. And we think we're in a good position to help our students. So back to Dominique.
Thanks, Joe. All right, so some of the challenges that we face in Goal 3. One is when we first came in, we recognized that there was a lack of centralized data, both quantitative and qualitative data, that made it kind of hard to actually identify the needs for programming and initiatives throughout the district when it came to partnerships. We also know that there's restrictions in citywide mobility. So how do we actually capture the voices of our community when folks can't get around? And so it's really been something tough that we've been dealing with. We really don't have a footprint for where folks actually are, and so that's why we had to collaborate with the Taft Promise Neighborhood Coalition. There's actually a ton of overlapping services. So one thing we have to do is make sure that we're streamlining the pre-existing services, as well as folks who are currently coming into the district. We have about 60 plus documented partnerships. A lot of those folks do the same work. That's problematic for many reasons. We've also identified that there's a lot of undocumented partnerships happening at the building level. So there's some organizations and individuals who are in our schools that central office doesn't know about. So we have to make sure that we're creating that centralized space where all of our community partners have to go through. They have to funnel through us in order to actually get to the school. There's also a lack of in-house and third-party partnership monitoring and evaluation defined with real metrics and real outcomes to see whether or not our partnerships are even impactful. And so that was a huge struggle because some folks were actually evaluating themselves based on their own metrics. We're also trying to create a culture of true collaboration amongst our district partners. So coming to the table and asking, how are we really defining community? How are we truly defining collaboration? And how are we going to hold one another accountable? So next steps for Goal 3. Number 1, we have to do a needs assessment. And so Denise Dick and I from the Department of Communications are working on organizing focus groups that include students, alum, parents, and community members to actually hear about the needs of the community. What is it that we need in order to move this district, move this city? And so with that, we plan on creating an integrated marketing plan based on those focus group findings. The next thing we're going to do is identify potential partners to professionally develop staff on customer service and create an inviting culture and climate at each one of our schools. So again, Linda Hoey is helping me identify that partner and helping the district identify that partner. Parent Pathways and Parent University, we're shaping a resource guide. We've been in conversation with the Help Hotline and a couple folks from faith-based institutions about how they've done that in the past. We want to make sure that's something that we can give to folks in hard copy, as well as something that's digitally available for them through our different mediums. We're also, this upcoming academic school year, we're going to make sure that each school has a parent resource room where parents know exactly where they can go in a physical realm for support, for questions, and for any other concerns. We're also going to make sure we have a parent university hotline. That's something that's probably going to go into effect this upcoming summer. So what we're finding is that our parents are involved, in that they're calling. This year alone in Parent Pathways, we've had over 4,500 addressed calls. Our parent advocates have actually made contact through telephone 15,000 times. So parents are calling, they have questions, we're calling them, but there's not one centralized space where they can get a turnaround in time, in one centralized space that we can hold accountable to say, a parent called, they needed an answer, they wanted a question answered. So we're creating a parent university hotline where there will be a 48-hour turnaround on that, one person. And then we're also in conversation, at least Chris Mohib and our Director of Strategic Initiatives, Pat Lowry, earlier in the year, they had a conversation with our mayor about organizing a council of agencies. So making sure that we have a sustainable system for collaboration. So bringing all these partners to the table, led by the district, to have conversations about what it is that we're going to do to make sure that our young people are successful, that our families are successful. And the most exciting thing on that list, at least for me, is we're in conversation with our Title I consultant about how we can bring a mobile resource unit to the district to make sure that we're going to families where they are. Because there's a lack of mobility in our city, we want to make sure we'll meet you where you are, in your neighborhood, on your block, and this will be probably the parent university bus. So there will be access to resources, there will be computers on that bus, there will be conversations on that bus, and so we'll be moving around on wheels. And so that's all we got for Goal 3, but again, like we're really excited to be doing this work. We're really excited to be here to make stronger relationships with our parents, our families, and our community members. If you guys have any questions, I'm here.
I just want to say, I think you guys have, you've got a lot on your plate with the amount of engagement and the number of participants willing to support the school system. I know from the work I've done through the Mahoning Valley Manufacturers Coalition, the right partners with the identification of the right needs, some of the things you talked to later in the presentation, definitely important steps, especially with going to neighborhood schools is going to add a totally different nature to the school system. But a lot of good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any questions, comments from the audience?
Compliments? I'm just kidding. Thank you, guys. Okay. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique.
Oh, and that's Tyrone Overson. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'll be going over Goal 4. Again, I guess the end going toward the end is a lot of information that's already been covered, so I'll kind of hit some highlights around my topic here. Again, creating a world-class workforce. One of the things I would really like to start with is really just echoing some of the statements and some of the stats that have been heard in other ADC meetings as well as other district meetings. And one of the first statements is, we can't fire our way to success. You know, again, one of the things we know is coming in, we have some staff members who really are here each and every day to do very best. One of the challenges, however, was how to provide the supports that they need. What tools how can we go about putting tools in their toolkits to help these individuals get better at their craft, to come in here to help these kids each and every day. And some of that driving is some of the stats and data here. Research is clear that a district will spend in excess of $250,000 to non-renew a staff member. That would be almost like hiring 6 new teachers. We've taken an approach that we're going to actually use those same dollars to try to re-engage our staff, provide them professional development throughout this entire year, to really get them what they need, the tools, the support, to help these teachers who really have come into this profession to do this work. We have to be there to support them. Another fact that I'm not sure many people know, 48% of the Youngstown City staff right now are within their first 3 years of being in this district. 48%. I know some are saying that's a high percentage. Do we know nationally 50% of teachers leave the profession within the first 3 years, and many leave due to a lack of support as professional development? 75% of teachers enter the profession and leave within the first 5 years. And again, hopefully while it's putting money into professional development, which you heard about in Goal 1 and Goal 2 and doing some things in community outreach, we'll actually see our teachers be able to sustain teachers here in our district at a much higher rate. Again, one of the things we've done, we've gone out to some recruitment activities. Again, you've all heard about the recruitment activities here in Youngstown City Schools. We had two, one back in October, and we had one just recently. Also, job fairs and career fairs. You know, one of the goals of this Goal 4 was to get out to at least 6 colleges and or universities this year. We've got out to at least 6, and we really even target the 2 HBCUs, that's the historically black colleges and universities in Ohio, Wilberforce and Central State. We went there very targeted, very purposeful. And from that, though, we had conversations as our district leadership team already and discussing we need to grow our own. Because when I went to Central State, there were 20 teachers graduating this year that are seniors. Those individuals are from major urban areas, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Toledo, Cincinnati. The challenge, however, in trying to get those students to come here, they all going back home. We have to then create our own program, our own future teacher educator program, and we're having conversations already amongst the chiefs right now, and what does that look like? Also at the career fairs, some of the things we heard from the young students, the young adults, as we say, who are looking to come into this profession and even possibly come into Youngstown. The first thing they asked me about is community opportunities to volunteer. So when I came back, I've been working with Dominique and Pat. The second thing they talked about was looking at housing. When they come to an area, these young individuals want to come in a cluster as a group. They're not coming one by one. They're coming in as a team to do work. So we've been working with Joe Nora and working with the city of Youngstown, trying to find housing so when these individuals come, it's communal housing. Again, we've been collaborating with other agencies as well. Support, recognize, and retain high-quality staff members. Again, we are collaborating with YSU. We're working with ODE, and some of that is even around the whole notion of how do we go about bringing in foreign language teachers. So we'll talk about that later, and Mr. Moe will probably share a lot more with that in coming months. But the Battelle for Kids grant, I know my partner in crime, who's here, Cheryl, will be speaking on that shortly. Again, one of the biggies is we're going to investigate competitive compensation plans. We're looking at the statewide. We're looking at the urban 8 school districts and seeing what they're paying their teachers as well as administrators, as well as we're looking regionally in this area as well. And then trying to put together a compensation plan and propose it to Mr. Mohip so then he can kind of flush it out a little bit. A staffing plan, again, we've been talking about staffing plans. Now that we understand what the reconfiguration is going to look like, myself, along with the other chiefs, will be sitting down and really start working through what the staffing plan will look like at each of our buildings. I can share with you the class sizes will be small for the teachers, because again, our teachers are here to do this great work and want to make sure we're supporting the teachers in the classrooms. Creating opportunities for staff to grow. I think one of the first things I would like to say is that we've really been working a lot with our union in this area here, understanding what are some of the needs. We've had several meetings throughout the year, sit down with the union saying what are the needs, and really listen to them and understand what are the needs of these individual teachers who are struggling here in our district. And that's where a lot of professional development is coming from. Listen to our union and teachers as they provide information and insights into why teachers may be leaving and what can we do to support those teachers. Teacher leaders and leadership development programs. We have 12 teachers right now in a cohort at YSU looking to get into administration. At least they're going to pursue their administrative license. I'm not sure if they all are looking to actually become administrators, but they definitely will have their license. High quality professional learning and mentoring. We've already talked about that, discussed that in Goal 1 and Goal 2. And the last part is substitute teacher program, and who actually Cheryl McArthur up at this time. Cheryl McArthur is she's our Deputy Director of Human Resources. This then is a part of the collaboration with other agencies. She works with Mahoney County Education Service Center as well as Youngstown City Schools. And again, as Cheryl talks about her section, she'll kind of cover the substitute teacher program and the pool.
Going back to the previous slide, we have the Mahoney Valley Regional Council of Governments, and one of its primary goals and focuses is to have a substitute teacher pool. Youngstown City entered the program this school year in February and became the 10th school district in that program. So we are experiencing having someone else manage the day-to-day substitutes so that we are not trying to do that, and it brings us a larger pool of subs to pull from. So the challenges that I found since I've been here and working with Mr. Olberson and the leadership team, things like basic human resource department needs, job descriptions, making sure folks understand what is expected of them and what they'll be evaluated on, and making sure those evaluations actually occur. In education, there are those licensure requirements, but there are also workplace safety, student interaction, all of those types of requirements that are for staff, and we need to be compliant in those things as well. And that brings me to automated systems. Fortunately, right now, right now, a lot of what we are tracking and how we are tracking is individual spreadsheets or paper and pencil for a lot of our processes and procedures and human resources. So a challenge is to make sure that we get to automated systems. Fortunately, our next steps for this goal is to implement those automated systems. The district currently uses ASOP, AppleTrack, automated systems that will help us in establishing better processes and better using and implementing those software programs. So there won't be an additional cost to improve on our processes, so we're excited about that. And once we're able to do that, then we can update our employee handbooks, policies and procedures, and better communication with our staff. That goes along with the internal audit and compliance. As I was saying, the requirements from the state on things like bloodborne pathogens and workplace requirements, HVAC systems for maintenance folks. Working in collaboration with the operations department to look at a system called Public School Works. And that system has 4 modules. One is the compliance for staff. One is compliance for buildings, fire drills, tornado drills. So all of this information is in one place. It also has a module for work order requests from the building. So it allows us to have data. All of these systems will allow us to have data as we're making decisions for students based on data. We also need data to make decisions on staffing. These systems also integrate with our current payroll processes, so we will all be able to, building level, district level, have access to the same data and more accurate data. Continued collaboration with local businesses and nonprofits. Mr. Olberson talked about collaboration with ODE and Battelle for Kids. We've recently joined in on a grant application, which we'll know by the end of June. And what that grant is to establish a human capital management system. And the 3 priorities that we focused on in our application was leadership, evaluation and support systems for leadership, access to effective educators, and means to attract and retain an effective and diverse leadership force. So we'll know that again by the end of June, and we're very excited about that. It's ODE, Battelle for Kids, the Ohio Department of Higher Education, Toledo Public Schools, Cleveland Public Schools, and Youngstown City Schools. And then the last thing is to assist in recruits in acclimating to the community. You know, we've talked a lot about getting our staff in. Ty shared how many staff are new. We just need to make sure that once we bring people in, that they know they're a part of the district, they're a part of the community, and we have as our next step to assist in that process for the staff. Are there any questions for us on Goal 4?
Any questions?
Okay, and now for Goal 5, Children North.
Thank you, President. Thank you for your presentation and the work you're doing.
So we've done a very nice job of keeping this room cool. Staying comfortable is the primary job of operations. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming here, and Mr. Mohip. Thank you to Mr. De Niro. Tony and I are the operations department, and we work with a lot of folks in the district The operations department is very focused with a primary function to operate an effective and fiscally responsible school system. We're glued to Goal 5. We have 2 goals in mind. That's creating systems of efficiency to operate the school system with an umbrella of shared responsibility, and providing and ensuring an environment that promotes teaching and learning, very specifically a warm environment, an environment that is dry and clean, and a safe environment. Our first goal has to do with utilization of systems efficiency in the district. The goal of the operations department is to create and expedite and assist with modern and automated systems so that a strong educational environment is ensured and red tape processes are removed. We seek efficiency. Examples of systems include major building system monitoring applications. Think of heating and cooling at your fingertips, quickly adjusting the temperatures of a classroom. Minor repair requests. This could be a teacher requesting assistance with something that's broken in a room, a lighting issue. And think of holistic building monitoring. Heating and cooling to lighting efficiency to security and access with the public. With 14 buildings and thousands of square foot in the district, a lot of district acreage, systems have to finally remove the dinosaur processes that have slowed efficiency in this district. And when I say dinosaur, I want you to realize that on January 23rd, as we started this journey, central staff members presented me with dozens of paper processes. These processes take an enormous amount of time and eat up human capital. We need to reduce the reliance on human responsibility and seek operational systems that quickly and efficiently make learning easy. The goals of these systems and what they will surely do is eradicate the district's work order system and incorporate a technology-based operations evaluation system for each school building. 2 major management systems that we're focusing on right now and incorporating. And what's really exciting about these systems is that they will serve multiple departments in this district. We are sharing and utilizing these systems to get the maximum usage out of them so we can work in the end together, and we will help our kids and teachers. We want our teachers to be able to teach and our kids to be able to learn. Public School Works in conjunction with Cheryl MacArthur and Ty Overson. Cheryl mentioned that system. And IO Education in conjunction with John LaPlante in the IT department. Public School Works makes the ease of facilitation of repair, building modifications, and improvements a quick and painless process. It tracks timing and responsibility. It holds all accountable to the core of the issue, and once again, helps our teachers to teach and our staff and our students to learn. And as the slideshow says, introducing IO Operations. IO Operations is an offshoot of IO Education. I will tell you, if John LaPlante was here today, he'd be screaming about this. This system allows each functional area within district operations to define operational goals, observe and measure progress, evaluate progress longitudinally, and manage improvement plans. It will actually compare our buildings to similar ones in similar areas across the country and provide on-the-spot data that will give insight and recommended improvements on everything from energy usage to repair costs. We're excited about these systems and we're implementing them right now. So now I want you to hear about operations and our goal of providing a warm environment, an environment that is dry and clean, and a safe environment. This is essentially our second goal. This story starts with old and nagging issues, unfortunately, with newer buildings at East and McGuffey. And in 2 months, I've seen these major issues put in perspective, hit the core of student learning. We're talking about staying warm for students and staff, and in the warmer months, staying cold, and our students staying dry. chance to look at that there. Okay, your 1 second's up. As I stated, the operations department is focused on sustainable solutions and low cost to the district with East and McGuffey. The planning started with the East issue, the HVAC issue, a massive project, a lot of duct work we were looking at, adding an air handler unit, very expensive work. We had a starting budget over $500,000. Now we have an amended budget of $175,000 with a new chiller through an insurance policy and individualized cooling units. There was a lot of cooperation and work that got us to that point. The McGuffey roof is a malfunctioning roof. 2 years of brainstorming, students actually leaving classrooms, leaking on the students. It was unacceptable. We had over 12 to 17 affected classrooms. There was a potential for $1.5 million in repairs or replacement costs. Last week, we were very proud with a meeting that took place. We are now at the point where we have secured a probable Ohio Schools facility decision of zero liability for the Youngstown City Schools with the replacement of this roof. And I think it's going to stay zero liability, so we're excited about that. That was a lot of teamwork and cooperation with Mr. De Niro, Mr. Stola, our trades folks, and lots of experts. Student safety. Student safety and the well-being of our staff members and visitors is the most important responsibility that we have in operations. Right now, we are in the end stages of completion of a major school surveillance upgrade project at East High School. We're talking about installation of 120 high-tech surveillance cameras, new viewing areas, and a network capacity to be able to view those surveillance incidents on the run from a smartphone and so on. When we talk about cameras and the assistance that they provide, we want to make our students and their environment safer. Cameras identify hot areas where students may stumble with discipline issues. And early data is now showing us at East that suspension numbers and discipline data show that students are acting in a more responsible way, ensuring that they're more focused on their education. So we always talk about the eye in the sky. When the eye in the sky is watching, we all behave better. We do understand that more cameras don't necessarily stop unfortunate discipline issues, but what they do is allow for quicker administrative and security investigations, which allow us to be able to work with those students and families so they can refocus on education. We're also working and in the process of adding security gates at the entrance of each school. And in the last 3 months, we have confirmed that our security plans are compliant with ODE and Homeland Defense. And we also identified, Tony De Niro and I, that our floor plans were horrible and that we needed to come up with the best example of a digital floor plan that if security needs to react, if administrators react, and through digital means, we could see classrooms, we could see windows, we could see hallways. And so we went ahead and worked with Strolla Architects to come up with a best game plan. Our challenges. The Ohio School Facility Commission demands a preventative maintenance program to be able to spend from permanent improvement accounts. And although this is law, it's also a best practice. It is a virtual maintenance guide that keeps us ahead of the game. So we need to maintain that for all of our buildings. We haven't done a very good job with that. We have to think of our buildings as automobiles. We all know what happens when you don't rotate your tires or change your oil. And I joke with Mr. Mohip all the time, neither of us do that, okay? Our buildings need plans.
and back to IO operations and public school works. These systems align to building preventative maintenance programs. They complement each other and complement those plans and make everything from the specific actions needed to the timelines for completion. Also, we announced school configuration yesterday. There's going to be many challenges with that. Essentially, I mean, you could think about moving a teacher's classroom from one building to another. Tony De Niro has been through this before. He was here with moving when we moved into our new school building, so I'm proud to have him on and staff. We are going to make sure that we make this as painless as possible, and we want, when we get to the fall, we want to be able to start our students with learning and teaching, and we're not worried about where equipment or items were last year. And we must plan for the security needs of each building in the district, including staffing and crisis plans. You have to keep these plans updated. You have to meet on these plans, and that's one of the challenges, to make sure that we are doing that correctly. On the next steps. We're going to be working on a new system of security called Raptor. It's going to be here for the start of next school year. And it's a public security system. It actually allows, when the public enters the building, it cross-checks sexual offender databases, our own database if we've had certain issues with parents, and it will identify someone that we have to sit down or monitor as they come to our building. What I really like that it does is it's convenient, and we're able to work with the public and families in a sensitive fashion, because you want to work with them in a sensitive way. It also prints ID tags and tracks your list of who's coming into your building on a daily basis. That will be a new system up and running in the fall. We are also going to continue with upgrading the entire district all building surveillance systems. We have extra cameras at East. I can tell you we're not wasting them. We've met with principals, and we're working with a security company to instantaneously place those extra cameras where they can best serve the needs of our students. We're going to continue to upgrade all building floor plans, as I mentioned. Now that we have a best model, a best floor plan, we're going to make sure that all of our buildings have those. And an exciting project, we're working on the 422 corridor project in conjunction with the regional chamber and area partners. This is a project that I'm excited about. It goes right in line with President Tressel's beautification program to beautify the corridors coming into Youngstown. Our bus garage and our maintenance area on 422 is one of those corridors, and we want to make sure that we're a good partner, a good neighbor. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Colleen Murphy-Pink, and then we'll take questions after her thing. But she has done a tremendous job with transportation, and you got the helm, Colleen.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you this evening about all the amazing things that are happening in transportation. First of all, our number one goal will always be to provide safe, efficient, and reliable transportation for all of our students to and from school. As we begin with this, we have updated all of our Zone R GPS units in our school buses. We've changed them from the Generation 2 cellular to the Generation 3. As many of you know, that network is going away. These GPS units allow us to see where every one of our buses are, and moving forward, you will see a lot more technology in the hands of parents that will operate right off these GPS units. Also, the Zone R GPS units have little sensors that we have positioned all around the bus and on the inside of the bus as well. And these assure us that every driver has performed a pre-trip inspection before they leave the lot every morning, and then again a walkthrough at the end of the day. We have had 2 recruitment drives since October of 2016. The result of our efforts have increased our CDL drivers by 15 and our bus assistants by 31. Keep in mind, it takes 30 to 60 days to train a new school bus driver. These recruitments have allowed us to reduce our departmental costs by $29,000 a month, and the annual reduction will be a minimum of $350,000 per year by hiring our own drivers instead of using the contractor service drivers. And hiring bus attendants have also been quite helpful for the drivers, monitoring student behaviors and educating the students on the safety rules and just allowing the drivers to keep their eyes on the road. Since I've been here, or just prior to my arrival, we've retrained and recertified all the bus drivers, and we continue to monitor those driver records daily. We ensure that all the buses are roadworthy. State Highway Patrol comes in and does spot inspections monthly. Adding the bus aids reduced the problems that we were having on the routes, and they support the drivers and also assist the children. Oh, sorry, let's try to move along. We've added 37 additional routes in the evenings to support the after-school programs. Now, a lot of school districts don't even have 37 buses running during the day. Can you only imagine? We have that many running around in the evenings. It's pretty awesome. 1,100 kids, I do believe, were in that program. We have also made multiple adjustments in the routes to reduce the ride time and the distance the students are walking to the stops. Challenges to our goal: historical lack of preventative maintenance program. Actually, there isn't any. There is no preventative maintenance program, but we're implementing one. Lack of vehicle maintenance records, lack of replacement parts and inventory, and very few opportunities for in-servicing and training our mechanics. There are no advanced diagnostic tools in the garage. As a matter of fact, there isn't even a computer anywhere in the garage right now. Continued challenges. We currently have one single onboard instructor, that would be an OBI, and that one person has been working to train and recertify our drivers. And recruiting and training drivers who are willing to put the time and necessary effort in to attain the state status of being an onboard instructor. It's a lot of extra work and a lot of responsibility as well. Route efficiencies and field trips. Currently, we have different routes, AM and PM, and that prohibits drivers from building any type of relationship with the children on their buses or their families. Lack of up-to-date detailed route sheets for substitute drivers has often resulted in drivers missing stops or students getting to school late, and also parent complaints. Getting up-to-date information for drivers regarding ridership to ensure a student is never left off at a wrong stop. And our current process of planning field trips is labor-intensive and very time-consuming. The high volume of address changes result in bus stop and route changes not being processed and communicated to the drivers and the parents in a timely manner. Please keep in mind, transportation services 22 schools, public, non-public, and community. So there is a lot of moving in, moving out, and moving around on a daily basis. But the turnover in the office personnel has also resulted in very poor communication with parents and staff and slowed down all the office processes and procedures. Basically, it was inhumanly possible to get the changes made and respond back to parents in a timely manner. Next steps. I like next steps. This is really exciting stuff. Next steps, the implementation of Fleet Vision. Fleet Vision, school bus fleet maintenance software, provides tools to manage the maintenance program, including tracking maintenance schedules, parts inventory, and fuel usage. This assures the operational cost of each vehicle can be considered when assigning to routes and evaluating vehicles for possible replacement. We have 4 additional OBIs in training, and we continue to recruit actively recruit bus drivers and bus aides. We are in the process of developing a school bus safety program for the district. We're going to start that out with a summer school program and carry that on through next year. Contracted services for the district that have resulted in district savings. Physicals that we had paid $80 for in the past, we're now paying $35. And drug testing that we were charged $35 for is now $22. It's a pretty huge reduction per each driver. We are implementing routing and planning software, Tyler Drive and Trip Tracker, to improve the efficiency, to process the information better and better accountability. The Tyler Drive is actually an iPad that'll go right on the bus, all right, and we'll be able to push out the information through the GPS right to the driver every day. And also the routes will be right in front of the drivers. So if you add a new child, you add the new child to the route, the new information will be right there. It'll also allow drivers to identify children. You know, when you have 150 different children every day, sometimes you need to look at their face, and that will allow them to look at that information right there. And it'll also retain all the health information, because anything that's pertinent to that child's safe transportation needs to be at the driver's fingertips. The most exciting part is, though, when you put a substitute on a bus, all right, there will be no guesswork. You will not have to worry about drivers being late or getting lost. Because if they miss a stop, the driver, you can actually push a button, it'll reroute you right back to that bus stop. Good stuff. Okay. Trip Tracker. Trip Tracker manages the field trip requests, scheduling, record keeping, and invoicing in a single comprehensive system. Trips can be requested at the building levels and approved at several different levels without using one single sheet of paper. The system allows trips to be assigned to drivers and printed with driver directions to and from the trip automatically attached. Also, next steps. eLink. eLink is an online student transportation information portal that allows parents and district staff to look up students' bus information. Students and parents can access bus change information within a shorter period of time with just signing into the website. And there will be a link for this on our website. So they won't have to worry about trying to call transportation when, the busiest time of the year they can't get through. They can just log on and get their child's information. The system identifies all children from a family group by the phone number, eliminating the need for multiple sign-ins. So you won't have to look up every individual child. MyStop. Everybody loves MyStop. MyStop is a smartphone app available for both Apple and Android phones, available to the parents. and it's free, all right? You just go and you can log in, and it'll give you the estimated time of arrival of your school bus. If you have multiple children, it'll bring all your children up on the screen, and you can just pick the one that you want to look for the bus information for. And let's see. Oh, that's it. All right. Do you have any questions for me?
Goal 5, any questions?
Goal 5, any questions for the group?
I liked everything.
Do you like it? Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Wait till you see it. Yeah, good stuff, good stuff.
I think it's a lot of good work getting started, the technology being implemented, and the efficiencies and service to the parents and students that's going to provide an awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to agree.
So we really need you to get Colleen a computer. I asked Colleen to cut and paste and show them what you did. She cut it and pasted it.
Motion's not doing that with the buses.
That's what we used to do with the buses. So this does bring our presentation to an end. And I know we went over, and Jen, you're right, we have a lot of things going on, but we're working hard to make sure everything we're doing is aligned to the bigger purpose of what we're doing here. And that is whole school transformation, whole district transformation. That takes a lot of work. It sometimes gets messy. It means we have to realign. It means we have to reconfigure. But essentially means we're going to do whatever is needed for our kids and for this district. We brought on a really great leadership team. I'm happy to say, Brian, I'm not working 18 hours every day. I'm working more like 17 and a half. But, and they're coming along right there with me. But essentially, we all took this job knowing that at the heart of this is teaching. And so that's why goals 1 and goal 2, we allowed them to go a little bit longer. I know we tried to be an hour, or 2 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes in. So I appreciate your patience. But everything we're doing here centers around our teachers. And we have to make sure that we build this district and leadership and all our functions are so that our teachers can become more effective in the classroom. They have the most challenging job here in the district, and we need to make sure that we're listening to them. We need to make sure that we're providing a strategic plan that in the end is going to lead to better instructional outcomes for our children. So I will take any questions that you have overall of me as the CEO. Otherwise, I thought this leadership team did a really good job of showing the comprehensive work that's been happening. We know that the next time probably won't be this long, but this work that we presented to you wasn't the work that started from December 5th when we approved the strategic plan. This is from June 29th until now, and it's quite a bit of work. But I'm also really proud of the steps and the growth we've made in a short amount of time.
Just that you certainly have had and will continue to have tall mountains to climb. Incredibly great work. I am still remain enthusiastic. Both in my work with the commission and the foundation, people ask me all the time, in a hushed voice, what's your take? What's going on? And I'm always still very optimistic. My encounters, although I'm just meeting some of you for the first time tonight, my encounters have always been positive, and so I appreciate that as well. When I ask for information and requests in my other work, folks follow through, so I think that's a great indication of what you do with everyone. So I appreciate the transparency, not only giving us what you're doing well, but what are the challenges you're facing. I think that's very helpful too, so thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'll just say ditto to what Jennifer has expressed so well. And I guess the only thing else I would add is I was really glad to see that the efforts to get information out to the public by using the not only meetings but also the press, because I hear a lot of positive feedback from the community about the fact and their support's really necessary to the work that's going to move ahead, about the progress that's being made, and they appreciate knowing what's going on. So I want to bring that in too. That's been helpful.
I echo Ms. Roller's comments as well as Dr. Brothers. A lot of great work being done. I think the number of people we've heard from today is a testament to building the capacity of the district's leadership, all the way down into the classroom. And as we move forward into completing the school year and we look ahead to the next meeting, I will encourage that, we really start to draw on firm data. We really look at where we can measure progress. We do measure even things as simple as surveying our teachers, surveying our students, and really starting to understand the cultural shifts that are taking place to reinforce where we are making progress and evaluate and question maybe where we aren't and where we thought we were. So I'll leave you with those thoughts before I open things up to comments, questions from the audience. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. I didn't plan on saying anything today. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even sure that I was going to be able to make this meeting because today I took part in some professional development that was happening up on the 3rd floor, and it was Discovery Education, and we talked about, and it was with a group of second grade teachers in the district. We were talking about 21st century goals and moving forward with our instruction and some instructional changes that would be happening in the 21st century. I think it was a great opportunity for us to reflect on future changes in education and things that we need to think about moving forward as instructors. Thank you to Mr. Mohip and his team for providing us that opportunity. I love the way this professional development is rolling out because it's happening in small groups of grade level teachers, so we can really have some focused discussion. And we have lots of different professional development opportunities after school. We have so many things before and after school that take our time. So the fact that I believe Mr. Mohip and his team heard us when we said that as we have professional development, you're so exhausted at the end of the day, and for something as important as this, to allow us to have that day out of the classroom, knowing our children were in good hands with other district instructors, we really appreciate that, so thank you. And it was great. We had a great instructor today, and I'm happy that the next time will be the same instructor. She was very good. This morning I was a little concerned because somebody had communicated with me that there may be a misconception with Mr. Mohip and the commission, and I felt strongly enough that, look, I'm like sitting here right now. I did not plan to be here, and I'm writing down these sloppy notes because I didn't want to forget anything that I wanted to say. But that there could be a misconception that teachers are resistant to change. I just want to really say clearly that the teachers of Youngstown are not resistant to change. Please understand that. From our new teachers who are so enthusiastic and excited with any new academic practice, and their enthusiasm and excitement and is certainly contagious, to even some of the ones that have been around a few years, especially I think maybe the ones that have been around a few years, for those of us that have. There's one thing that we have done in Youngstown is learn to roll with the changes. And I think our teachers have been terrific about rolling with those changes and being the venue to make sure the changes happen in a way that positively impacts our students and not to cause them any kind of stress, and just to make sure that any academic initiative that our leadership, whoever it may be, wants to have implemented, that we're making sure that we on the ground level are implementing that with our children in a positive way, so that we do have some positive changes. And we're always open to that. We're always going to be open to that. So please, never, I don't know where that misconception comes from, but the teachers of Youngstown and the Youngstown Education Association is the collective group of teachers in Youngstown. It's not, Larry, Rita, and Paula. We might be the voice in the face sometimes, but what we say is reflective of our teachers, and they are not reflective. They are not resistant to change. We're open to change. We know it has to happen, and I'm sure moving forward that we're going to continue to do the best we can for our kids. Also, I think there might have been a misconception that by speaking out like this at every opportunity that is given to us, that perhaps that might mean that we don't want to be a constructive part of educational outcomes. I don't know how else to answer that except to say that our speaking out to say that that is not wanting to be a constructive part of educational outcomes is ridiculous. It's actually just the opposite. We really understand that we have to speak out because there's no group in this district who understands our children better than, of course, their parents, but within this district, your teachers. You know, we are also having the opportunity to have some really important professional development on restorative practices to try to create a better environment in our classroom. And talking about those restorative practices was, they want us to understand that you have to know the kids and where they're coming from. And honestly, there is no group that knows the children, where they're coming from, and tries to have better understanding of why they behave the way they do and the actions and the strengths they have and the resiliency that they have, but also the problems they have. There's no group that understands that better than your teachers. So we have to step up whenever we have a concern, and we have to present that to anyone who's willing to listen. Mr. Mohib tends to be the person that has to hear it, and I know that sometimes it might get to be a little annoying and aggravating, and maybe you feel as though we're resistant to change and we're not trying to go along with the program. It's not that we're not trying to go along with the program. Maybe we have some insight into how we think we can move forward with it in a way that would cause a smoother transition for teachers and ultimately our kids, which is the goal, to make a positive change for our children in the best way that we can. You know, whether we bring to you concerns with safety and discipline, which I hear loud and clear from our teachers, you know, that's classroom management and discipline and those kind of problems. And I know you've heard us because that's why you're bringing in this restorative practices. It's one of the goals. With us feeling so strongly that that is one of our greatest obstacles, we just really are going to keep bringing that home to you. You might get tired of us saying it, but we feel it's so important that we can't stop talking about it until we see things that are being implemented that maybe will create some positive change, like the code of conduct that you've now rolled out, like this professional development. It may be that we feel like that's not enough, so you're going to hear some more from us, but please don't think it's because we're resistant to your ideas. That is not the reason. And I don't want the commission to get the misunderstanding that that's the reason why we're speaking out. It's because we want to be part of that positive change. Even when we talk to Mr. Mohib about instructional programs, maybe it's not that we don't like some of the things that he's moving forward with. It could be that we felt that the way it was rolled out might not have been the best way, and moving forward, if we don't bring this to your attention, how are we going to try to do this better in the future? So we have to speak out. So moving forward, I'm hoping that we continue to have discussion and that the teachers and our leadership team can continue to discuss and have as much input as possible into changes that are happening in our district. I think it would be so much better if we could be part of the discussion from the start rather than being informed of things after it's already going to happen, and then we kind of have to do like we've always done, which is just roll with it and try to make it work. We're really hoping moving forward that we can be part of the discussion as things are being created, as we're choosing programs. I think that the teachers would be the best people to talk to about programs that maybe we've heard about that could be helpful, and how can we get the programs that you want to implement out there in the most constructive way. So I'm sorry if I talk too much. I have notes all over the place. Rita, did I miss anything? Okay, good. Thank you.
thank you for bringing forth those thoughts. I'll just, close with saying the commission's role is really not to micromanage the district. We expect and voice the fact we believe teachers are fundamental to the success of this district and they need to be supported. We've brought that message to CEO Mohit clearly this past fall and asked that there be things addressed within the strategic plan to accomplish that. We're sincere about recognizing that. We're also sincere about recognizing the fact that there needs to be dialogue and engagement on behalf of the administration, teachers working together to develop programs and buy-in programs. But we also believe there needs to be integrity in the actions taken, not only face-to-face, but once people leave the room. And some of the concerns I have, I think, center in that area. I'll leave with this closing thought. There's a desire to see us address retention of teaching staff. To be able to do that, we need to address compensation in this district. That's been brought to the OEA, and at that point is where it rests. Or the YDA, I apologize. I think I'll leave you with that thought that if there is real integrity about seeing this district succeed and reach its potential, let's start to work together in that regards. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your interest. Excellent presentation today. Look forward to hearing from the group. I think we're going to look at a time in early July. Yes. Thank you.
I
Motion to adjourn.
say let's adjourn.